car dinners for a quick trip in Tobacco Outlet Plus. So that's the reason we are here. And it is a wet, rainy, soggy day. But from what I understand, the weather forecast says that at least it's going to clear up a little bit later on this afternoon. And they've got an outing today where they are on the course. No golf carts are out, obviously, but they are on the course. So today is kind of that mood day where you got up this morning and you thought, I could just use one more day, just one more weekend day, just stay in bed all day. That's the kind of day it can be. That's the kind of day it is. It's watching the Brewers over the weekend was, to say the very least, somewhat abysmal. We'll get into the Christian Yelich stuff coming up here shortly. It's not just Christian Yelich, but because he's the guy that's making the money, you certainly have to take a look at him. All is not lost. There are some hopeful numbers and some things to look back on. I mean, in the sense that this team is banged up. They came out of an 18-game stretch 9-9. Things aren't terrible, but they just allowed some games to slip away, and Musgrove almost no-hit them on Friday night, and so things just, not trending in the right direction, and they needed a day off today. There is this premise that they limped to the off day because they needed the off day, and I'm going to talk about that as well. Ben, Kenny, how was your weekend?
I had an okay weekend, Bill.
Yeah?
I was moving for all of it, so the act of it was horrible, and I never want to do it again. But now that it is finished, looking back, it was tremendous. Plus, I got up and we played Lasonia up in Green Lake, Wisconsin yesterday, and that was great.
Yeah, the golf weekend was not bad. We dodged the raindrops. I had two motorcycle rides this weekend and dodged the raindrops, so we only got rained on really any significance, I guess, just once, and that was coming home after everything was said and done. So ultimately, the charities got what they needed, which was what it was all about anyway. How'd you play this weekend, by the way?
Oh, I played great.
Really?
But I had a Greg Norman-esque collapse on the last hole, though. I needed an 8 to break a 95, and I made an 11.
Ooh, really?
After I'd avoided double bogeys all day. I was playing the best I played in forever.
And
I just
11?
I melted down. I was a mess.
Damn. That is, that's melting down and then some. It's one thing. What was it, a par 4 or 5?
Par 5. I was just a mental midget. I didn't have it in me.
Wow, that's to say that you needed just an 8, and instead you took an 11. That's bad.
It was a 1-putt 11, by the way.
Oh my God! What'd you do? Put it off the green, down the hill, and into the woods?
It would take the entire show to go through every shot I had on that hole.
Oh my God! I mean, we've all been there. Don't get me wrong. I don't know. I could not tell you. I've taken a snowman, okay, every now and then. I can't tell you the last time I took an 11.
It's the first 11 I've ever made since I started, keeping score of real golf holes.
I think I took maybe an 11. There was one year that I took an 11. It was at Whistling Straits. And I don't know what hole it is. It's the one that as you start to come back towards the clubhouse, you fly over the water. And I remember I was water it just draws me. I don't know why it does. It just does. And I couldn't get over the water to save the life of me. I kept kind of just semi-slicing the ball, and had I had 3 more yards on it, I'm in the fairway and I'm sitting great. But it's like snakes around 2 little lakes. If anybody knows what I'm talking about that's played there, and it just I couldn't keep the ball out of the water, so it was 1 in, 2 out, over, back in, 3 out, 4. I mean, it was just crazy. And that might have been the last time I took somewhere significant, like close to 11. But on 11, when you needed an 8 to bust 95, oof. Are any clubs hanging from trees near that 18th green?
No, I had a tremendous attitude. Well, we thought it was going to rain because the forecast was bad. But we got out there and it held off. It was a beautiful afternoon. So I was in great spirits. It is what it is. I'm working on my mental makeup.
Okay.
All
right. I get it. Nothing wrong with that. Kind of keep your cool, so to speak. No matter how bad you play, keep your cool and see what happens. Okay. I right now I have not really swung a club. Today was going to be the first day, but I've just been physically so debilitated over the last month. I'm not. I don't even know if I'm going to be able to. So we'll see what happens later this afternoon. Maybe I'll just be the alternate putter or something like that. But we'll see. See what happens.
I did do your plan though. I had a Pro V1 in my pocket and I would putt with it, which I think is wildly illegal. But it worked out great.
It is, but it's round and it's white. Who cares?
Yeah.
If I was playing the tour, yes, it would be wildly illegal. If I'm playing with a couple of buddies, and yeah, it doesn't matter. Doesn't matter. The only time they notice anything like, and it's not like I'm going from a ball that says ball to a Pro V1. I mean, I'm usually playing like a Tour Soft or something like that, something with a little more control. So I'm not sticking it in the woods consistently. But when I putt, I just like the feel of a Pro V1. I just do. So I don't know. I don't know why. I feel like I can't even sense the roll. You just can tell. You can just feel in your wrists from the time your wrists and your arms come through. You can feel it tap the club and the way it rolls off the putter face. You can talk it through as if to say you know what the hell you're talking about. But Pro V1s just feel right to me for whatever reason. So
agree.
Anyway, it has been an active day here at the golf course. They've got an outing that's getting ready to go out. Later this afternoon, we've got all of our friends from the Tobacco Outlet Plus grocery stores and the first cigar dinner of the year. They're going to go out and play 9 holes, probably on the front 9. And then after that, there's dinner upstairs in the barn. And as long as it gets a little bit warmer, it's not going to be terrible. The barn is covered, obviously, so we're still going to have some fun and have a few cigars and call it a day. So it's going to be kind of nice in that sense. 877-867-1670 if you want to hit us up. That's the phone number, 877-867-1670. Also, in the meantime, if you want to hit us over on Twitter, at Bill_Michaels, or at Ben Z. Kenny, you can find us both there. You can find him as well. You can find us over on the Facebook fan page. Go to facebook.com/The Bill Michaels Show. Facebook.com/The Bill Michaels Show. You can find us on YouTube. Go to youtube.com. Subscribe for free. YouTube.com. Simply Bill Michaels Show. Same thing over on Twitch TV. And then all Spotify, Apple, Google podcast sections, Odyssey, iHeart apps. And you can find us when you download the app that is The Zone Madison. The Zone, WOZN, The Zone in Madison. And you can download the app and take us anywhere and everywhere. It's just that simple. Over the weekend, some things to get a kind of address here. Brewers lose yesterday 6-4. We all know that. Final in 10 innings. You thought when they tied it up, here we go. You're going to steal one. You're going to escape. You're going to have a good feeling going into the break. And nah. And by break, I mean 1 day off. They're off today, back at it tomorrow when Ben Kenny's Joe Girardi-less Philadelphia Phillies become the foe. However, they ended up letting it go, and the Brewers lose 6-4. So there's so much to grab onto. The offense was all the talk this morning. They stink. They went 0 for in 2 back-to-back nights. They can't hit. Lorenzo Cain's terrible. Christian Yelich is terrible. You know, I look at it this way. Do you want to go glasses half empty or glasses half full? Glasses half full, I had said at the beginning of the season, 4.2. 4.2. 4.2 runs per game is the key number. If you get over that, you're going to win. To that or over that, you're going to win a lot of games. Right now, they're at 4.4 runs per game. That's not bad for a team that is so banged up. Now, you might get Adames and Renfroe back here soon, so you cross your fingers for that. And if that happens and they're ready to go, then, yeah, things begin to trend back into the proper direction. If they don't come back and things continue to, kind of falter, well, then you have obviously got some issues. But on Friday night, Saturday night, 7-0, 4-0, couldn't get it done. They did get the win in game 1 of the series, 5-4. They got that one. They ended up losing that game in the last 2 games in Chicago. We all know they let that one on the first get away. So there's things to talk about, but couple of different things I want to get into. First of all, with Christian Yelich. Christian Yelich, he is O for June. His RBIs are next to nothing. Since he made the post after the cycle, he has been nothing short of awful. Nothing short of awful. It's just bad. The people that came out of the woodwork to point the finger to say, see, I told you he's back. And I get it. There's a lot of Christian Yelich fans. He is probably, my assumption would be, many people, since Ryan Braun has retired, he's probably the fan favorite. I wouldn't doubt that, right? He's probably the fan favorite at American Family Field. And there's a lot of defenders out there. Come on, Christian, green and gold glasses, or I should say blue and gold glasses. He'll be fine. Don't worry about it. He'll be fine. Since the kneecap, he has been a shell of himself. 3 weeks, people keep pointing back to when he went on these little, surges. A surge does not make a season. I've been saying this since the beginning of the year. I don't want to see a week. I don't want to see 2 weeks. I want to see a month and a half. I want to see consistency. If he's going to hit 275 or above, give you 25 home runs, 80 RBIs, that's a hell of a season. That's a nice bounce back for him. He is nowhere close to that. Nowhere close to that. So when he goes on these little spurts and people get excited, yeah, get excited, feel optimistic, but don't be fooled. Because right now he is what he is. Until he puts an entire season together, it doesn't matter. And I just keep stressing that. Until he puts an entire season together, it just doesn't matter. Because right now, Christian Yelich is mired in an absolutely positively awful, awful slump. Since he hit for the cycle in Cincinnati, he's 14 of 85 with a batting average of 164, an on-base percentage of 252. He has a total of two extra base hits, 10 walks, 0 homers, and 29, almost 3-1 strikeouts. 24 hits and walks, but 29 strikeouts. 10 walks, 14 hits. That's 24 times on base. 0 home runs, by the way. Yet 29 strikeouts. That is awful. It's beyond bad. Don't know what else to say. It's just bad. He's watching a lot of balls go right down the middle. And I'll say this, I'm not saying it's true. Christian Yelich right now, who had his average up to 244, is now batting 218. A total for the season on-base percentage of 313, stinks. Slugging percentage 360, stinks. OPS 673, stinks. A 0.4 WAR right now. 0.4. So when it comes to Yelich and what he's giving you, the argument that many are making is, why is Craig Counsell so blind as not to see that Christian Yelich should be nowhere near the top of the batting order anymore? Nowhere. There are cases to be made to say, okay, I understand. I'll tell you what those are when we come back, and we will hear from Craig Counsell as well after yesterday's game. I want you to hear those comments. But there is a case to be made to understand, because I'll say this. Ken Maka was not a great manager. But when I would go into Ken Maka's office and sit down and talk with him, Ken Maka, you'd ask him specific questions, hard questions. Not to be a jerk, but to legitimately say, what is this? Why is this happening? And after you walked away, you could say, okay, I understand what he's thinking. I get it. I understand What's going on? I get it. No problem. But in the grand scheme of things, it's still not right. It still doesn't make sense. To the eyeball test, you can't keep doing this. Christian Yelich, you can kind of look at his circumstances the exact same way. And I'll tell you what they are when we come back. Stay tuned. We got a lot more of the Bill Michaels Show coming up. This portion of the program brought to you by our friends at Bud Light. They are the official beer sponsor of the Bill Michaels Sports Talk Network. Big night, Wednesday night. Wednesday Night Live is back at the Wisconsin State Fair Park in the Bud Pavilion. Cherry Pie takes the stage Wednesday night. Had a chance to see those guys on Friday. As a matter of fact, down at Root Fest in Franklin. Had a great time down there, but Cherry Pie takes the stage at the Wisconsin State Fair Park this coming Wednesday night. See you there for Wednesday Night Live. More of the Bill Michaels Show coming up next.
Ready? This is the Bill Michaels Show on the Wisconsin Sports Zone Radio Network.
Bill Michaels will resume in 3 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 2 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 1 minute. Bill Michaels will resume in 30 seconds.
Welcome back to the Bill Michaels Show, and today's a special one. We are broadcasting live. We're at Ironwood Golf Course here in Sussex. I love this place. This is my home course. I have not had a chance to really play it here this year because I've had some health issues. I just haven't been able to get out and do it as much, or at all for that matter, this season. So I'm really hopeful that eventually I'm going to be able to get back out there and swing. I'm going to give it a shot today. We'll see what happens, but I'm not expecting too much, to be quite honest with you. Maybe that's what's wrong with the Brewers. I don't know. I'm not going to sit here and say that all is terrible, because let's look at it this way. They're averaging 4.4 runs per game on the season. They are second in Major League Baseball in home runs. They are ninth in triples. However, here's some of just the goofy off-the-wall numbers. They're 10th in walks, so not bad. They can get on base in other ways, but they're 26th in doubles. Go figure. For a team that's second in home runs, you would figure a few of those balls that would normally go over the wall would fall a little bit short, and you would have at least a couple of doubles, right? Maybe they're just a fast team because they're ninth overall in triples on the season. But they're 25th in batting average, yet 17th in OPS because of the walks. What I'm trying to tell you is it's much like the all or nothing that they have. That's the way they are. This team is all or nothing. Second overall in home runs, 26th in doubles, 9th in triples, 25th in average. just goofy numbers, offensively speaking, for the Milwaukee Brewers. Now, with Christian Yelich, before we hear from Craig Counsell, with Christian Yelich, one of the things to think about, is that Christian Yelich's analytics, and I know people hate to hear this, and I do too, his analytics would tell you with the frequency with which he does hit the ball when it comes to hitting the ball hard is at a better than average rate in Major League Baseball. Believe it or not, when he makes contact, he's making good contact for the most part, above average contact for Major League Baseball. But yet, he's striking out at a ridiculous rate. His number of first pitch take at bats is ridiculous. He takes almost the first pitch at every at bat. He's behind in the count more often than not, which means he's swinging defensively. All the things that he wasn't. Pitchers are not afraid of this guy. It used to be you'd never give him a down the middle first pitch fastball just to get ahead. Now, you don't fear him. Not even remotely. Pitchers are hitting the strike zone against him, first pitch, 72.8% of the time. So, like I said, it used to be you didn't want to get close. You wanted to kind of get him fishing to get him behind in the count. Now, go right at him. Why? Well, you don't fear him. But even though the analytics would tell you the sabermetrics of launch speed and how hard he's hitting the baseball on a consistent basis, you would say, okay, it's going to start to happen. But the dude has like an RBI in a month, no home runs. He's not hitting for power. I'm still, even though he put up a couple of home runs in a short period of time, I still think that Ben, when we made the bet on the over and under of 15 home runs total on the season, he's over the last month, he's made me feel pretty good about that. After hitting for the cycle in Cincinnati, I was thinking, oh boy, he's going to bust that open easy. And all of a sudden he's gone again.
Yeah, I'm going to lose that bet.
I don't think he gets to 15. What's he sitting
He's
at 5 or so? Yeah, 5.
But he had 4 or 5 in the first, month and a half.
Right.
Nothing in the last month.
Well, he didn't hit. He hit one after like a few weeks. It took him a while. And then when he got one, he got a couple, and then he got the hit for the cycle in Cincy. And since then, he's terrible.
There was that Pirates game, I think. He might have had 2, or he had that big one. That was the first Twitter video.
Yeah.
That was where the theory originated. But yeah, no, it's not been good.
Yeah, he's been bad. So I get why Counsell can look at this and say, among other reasons, we're going to leave him in the third hole. But at some point, you got to say, you're not helping the ball club. Like I said, Ken Maka used to give me the analytics and statistics and all the different things when I would ask him questions about whatever it was, because it's been so long. But I just remember I would go into those meetings and those little one-on-ones and ask him certain things, and then I'd walk away going, "Okay, I understand what he's saying. I'm not disagreeing because what he's saying is right." But to the eyeball test, no, this sucks. Christian Yelich right now, for all intents and purposes, sucks. I mean, I'm sorry. I know there's a lot of people that are Christian Yelich fans, but 2 weeks of a season, 3 weeks of a season don't make you a season. And you certainly aren't living up to the contract expectations, because ultimately that's where the microscope comes from, is the amount of money. And it's not an exorbitant amount. It's not like they gave him, $40 million over 6 years or $40 million a year for 6 years or 10 years or something. But remember when we were talking about this guy down in spring training, that there was rumor of a contract extension coming, and we were thinking, this guy, boy, if he ended up going to the open market, he could be the first $500 million man. Remember that? Now, I wouldn't pay $1.25 for him. He's awful. He is consistent. Jason said he's too inconsistent. No, he's consistent. He stinks more often than not. And he's a good guy. He doesn't do anything wrong away from the field, doesn't say anything wrong, is kind of soft and mealy, so to speak. I mean, he's not an outspoken guy. He's not a rah-rah guy. He's not a big leader guy. He's not in the clubhouse giving speeches guy. He goes about his business, and his defense hasn't even been as great as we have seen in the past. It's just, it's been this disappointing decline. And I'll say this, and this is one other side of it. The argument by many, more outside looking in, but I don't have a way to defend it anymore, is the only time he succeeded was back when the Brewers were being accused of stealing signs, specifically Christian Yelich. Now, I think it's crap, but what the hell do I know? Because there was legitimate proof, visible, audible, tangible proof of what Houston was doing back during the sign stealing, gate, if you will. But the accusations were that there was more than a few teams in Major League Baseball that were doing something similar. And one of the teams that kept getting mentioned was the Milwaukee Brewers. But yet there was no proof. I said, show me the proof. Nobody ever showed you the proof. But there's always been that subterranean rumor that, yeah, there were certain guys that knew how to work the system, and Yelich was one of them. And I went, come on. The guy's always been a decent hitter. He just finally found his groove in Milwaukee. He's in a great situation. Well, since then, ironically, and the kneecap, he has done nothing to prove anybody wrong. Nothing. So all I say is, I don't believe it. Show me the proof. But for those that want to say that, yeah, this is the way he is and this is what was going on, I don't have a comeback anymore. I can't sit here and say, well, look what he's done since then. Because look what he's done since then. His numbers stink. They're nowhere near close to what he used to do. And that's what he got paid for. He got paid to produce not necessarily 326 and 40 home runs, but he was getting paid to hit 275, 280 and give you 20 to 25 home runs and about 85 driven in. That's the numbers that's kind of melds out into what his contract would be. He's been far below that since signing that deal. And I cannot anymore believe that it was just his kneecap, just the injury. I can't. I just can't. I don't know if it's mental. I don't know if he's just trying to slap the ball. I don't know if he's just trying to do anything and everything just to get on. I couldn't tell you. But the guy that we saw, and I'll say this, looked confident at the plate. And looked confident. Why? Because it looked like he knew what was coming. Whatever he was doing, he was guessing right. And he looked strong. There was no place in that strike zone you could throw a ball without Christian Yelich pelting it somewhere. Either going the opposite way down the left field line or driving it out over the right center field fence. You couldn't do it. You couldn't get it past him until you got to the postseason. And then everything got past him. But once the kneecap happened, that was it. That was it. 877-867-1670. Let's do this. When we come back, we will hear from Craig Counsell. I went a little bit long there, but I got to get to everybody that's hitting me up over on the Bud Light live stream. Thanks to everybody for paying attention today. And if you want to email us, thebillmichaels@gmail.com, thebillmichaels@gmail.com. Find us there. Well, a lot of people chiming in on all of this. Stay tuned. We're going to get to all your reaction. Brewers limp into the break, if you will. Today's an off day. I'm going to talk about that as well. Stay tuned. More of the Bill Michaels Show coming up next.
This is the Bill Michaels Show on the Wisconsin Sports Zone Radio Network.
Things in Wisconsin that are meant for each other.
Beer and brats.
Now you're talking.
Chicago and playoff losses.
Delicious.
Sunshine in Pella windows.
Gina Della from Pella.
44% more natural light enters your home when we install our innovative hidden screen. Available exclusively on Pella 250 series single hung, double hung, and sliding windows. It's super easy and sleek. The window screen folds away when closed, keeping it clean from the elements and preventing bugs from entering your home thanks to a tight seal. Best of all, you and your home get to bask in all of that extra sunlight.
Yeah, but the wear and tear from opening and closing screens.
It was designed and tested to last 9,400 cycles, the equivalent to opening and closing it every day for 25 years.
Man, that's got to be expensive.
Choose 0% financing for 72 months or a free upgrade to the hidden screen in our 250 series.
Whoa, I need to jump on that now.
Visit PellaWI.com today.
Certain restrictions apply. See Pella Experience Center for details.
Bill Michaels will resume in 5 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 4 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 3 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 2 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 1 minute. Bill Michaels will resume in 30 seconds.
Welcome back, and we are glad you are with us. As always, we are broadcasting today, a special one today, Ironwood Golf Course here in Sussex, Wisconsin. Here today, we've got our first cigar dinner, for courtesy of Quick Trip and Tobacco Outlet Plus, and looking forward to that later this afternoon. They have a golf outing that is already underway here. Went out a little bit earlier today. But no golf carts this morning because the rain, it was coming down. I mean, I don't know where it was, what it was like in your area, but in this area here, it was heavy and it was steady. It was that kind of rain where it wasn't blowing side to side, no wind, nothing like that. It was just straight downpour, heavy rain, and there was a kind of a stream coming down through the ninth fairway over here on the first nine, which I think is the Meath. So they had to say no golf carts this morning. However, this afternoon, it looks like things are, at least what it looks like on the radar, are going to dry up, or at least get a little bit non-wet, shall we say. So it looks like the golf outing this afternoon for the cigar dinner is going to be a go. We'll just have to wait and see how things turn out. So
Is that where you got struck by lightning?
No. We are actually, that is coming up at Wild Ridge Golf Course. Is where I got struck by lightning. Wild Ridge, oh boy, that's a great question. I was sitting here going through the schedule, and I don't think we do Wild Ridge until, correct me if I'm wrong, I think we are out there in, Wild Ridge Golf Course on Monday, August 1st is when we're going to be there for the cigar dinner out in Eau Claire. I don't know when the Junior Achievement is. We've always been there for the Junior Achievement golf outing. But I don't have a date on that. I don't know if we're booked for that or not. So we'll wait and see. But no, it was at Wild Ridge out in Eau Claire, and that's where I was doing the interview, sitting at the table. And I shouldn't laugh, but that's where it happened. So I still have, by the way, Ben Kenny, I still have those shoes.
Huh.
And the shoe has a blowout burn hole through it. So the 1 in a million shoes. Still have them. Sitting in my
Should
closet.
sell them. Should make them an NFT and sell them if that's possible.
Yeah.
I'll get you into the hip ways of today.
Okay. Yeah, I've got...
Maybe David Stearns will buy it. He's a big... or Mark Ignacio.
Yeah.
He's a big
the
hard guy.
Let's see here. The... and I have I hate to say this, but I had like the picture of authenticity. I didn't realize it at the time, but I have a picture when I was in the hospital that they took of my shoe. And so you can actually match it up from that day and date to the shoe. But yeah, I'm no reason to lie about it, but just I'm going through the closet the other day, and I used to be, I'm not as much anymore, but I used to be like a shoe collector. I used to be one of those guys that every cool sneaker that came out, man, I had to have it. I was all over it. I had tons and tons and tons of like Adidas and some of the newest stuff. And then I even had some Vans and some of the cooler old school kicks and stuff from K-Swiss years ago and all that kind of stuff. But I've kind of gotten away from that. But I was going through my closet to see what I had. I was going to make it to a charity drive in my neighborhood. So I went ahead and pulled out shoes, and I thought, I don't think I can part with these. Not yet. So we'll see. 877-867-1670, 877-867-1670. So, Craig, before I go any further, Craig Counsell, got to get to this. After yesterday's game, these are some of the things that he had to say regarding many of the things that we're talking about, and some of that specifically being the discussion regarding Christian Yelich and company. And as we stated before, I mean, Christian Yelich is he's the lightning rod because he's the money. He's the lightning rod because he's the guy that everybody was waiting to see really kind of take shape. And it just hasn't, unfortunately. So Counsell starts off talking a little bit about Eric Lauer's day yesterday.
Yeah, I mean, look, the 3-run inning was, there wasn't a lot there. I thought he pitched his way through it today and did a nice job of it. And unfortunately, just kind of one of those innings, probably the ball to Grisham was the double that gets it started. And then we make a defensive mistake. And then after that, it's a bloop and a weak ground ball that kind of gets him the run. So the inning he gave up runs, maybe one pitch he wants back, really.
Yep, no doubt. Now, the argument is this, and I thought this was absolutely ludicrous. Everybody looks forward to a day off. Everybody does. When we get down to the end of the week and we are really looking forward to a weekend, I'm not going to say that we take it easy because we all do our job. We all want to get to the weekend, but we all do our job. Now we don't have that ability. We're not playing baseball for a living, okay? You and I, maybe we cut a few corners, right? Maybe we do a few things we don't normally do, or don't do some things that we would normally do, right? We all cut a few corners. We've all had that, right? But as a baseball player, how do you cut a corner? Maybe you don't take batting practice that day. Maybe you're resting a little bit. You're just trying to manage your energy as you kind of creep towards a long stretch. You had 18 games or 19 games, 18 days, that type of thing. You don't, it's not like you're standing at the plate going, boy, I'm just going to swing and get through this thing just till we can get to the weekend, because you can't. You're out there doing everything you can to win. It is a different sports and athletics, specifically professionally, are such a different mentality. With 25, 30,000 people watching you, you're not cutting corners. It's not like you're not going to bend over for a baseball. Get it through my legs. No, because then the inning extends. Therefore, you don't get to the off day any quicker. What you're hoping for is to get some base knocks, to get some runs, get a win, get it under your belt, and get the hell out of there. That's what you want. So this whole thing where people are saying, oh, boy, they limped to the off day. Now, it's one thing if you're limping towards an all-star break and you're going to get 6-7 days off mid-season. Okay, maybe a little bit. Or if your season sucks and you can see the end of your season coming, yeah, you're probably not doing the same thing with the same amount of effort just because you're waiting for the season to end, because you really don't have much to play for. The Brewers got everything to play for. They do. They're trying to snap the losing streak. They're trying to stay on top of the National League Central. They're trying to win a division, trying to win themselves deep into the postseason, and trying to get themselves right. Now, we know that maybe a little bit of rest time away from a long stretch can help, but you're not – what the hell is this? Oh, I'm going to be off tomorrow. Can't wait for tomorrow. It's not like you're going to Bermuda, for God's sakes. You're going to take a day off. Maybe you go to Gillies and get some ice cream. Maybe head over to Oscar's. Maybe you're going to go over to Cabela's, do a little shopping, maybe for something for hunting season later on down the road. Pick up a new rod and reel if you're going to go fish for a day with Euchre. But you're not going, boy, I'm not going to play today. I'm not going to, whatever. That it's a crap excuse. But Craig Counsell did say everybody looking forward to at least one off day.
Yeah, I mean, it's look. I mean, I think everybody's looking forward to an off day. I don't think that changes no matter what most times of the year. But like I said, we're getting healthier, and just a day for everybody to kind of get away from it, frankly, is good.
As far as the bats go, and I gave you the statistics before. It has been quiet, as Counsell alluded to, for the bats.
It's been quiet for sure. We're just in a little stretch where we're not getting much going.
No, they're not. 18 games, 17 days. I think I said 19 and 18 before, but it's 18 and 17. Not really an excuse for the offensive struggles.
No, I mean, I think you're going to go through stretches of season where you just got some guys that aren't swinging the bat well. You know, we're missing. We got some guys banged up, and that's kind of changed who's been playing a little bit. But it doesn't. You know, everybody's got a 162 game schedule with no off days and all that stuff. So it's not an excuse.
There you go. That's it. That's it. I mean, look, you can talk about the bats. Oh, it's a tough stretch, so the bats went silent. Well, who cares? What about the first 10 games of an 18-game stretch? What about the first 15 games of an 18-game stretch? I don't want to hear this. It's excuse making. It's crap. It's not right. By the way, for those that were wondering, Keston Hiura, since he's come back in the last 7 days, 7 for 22, 3 runs, 3 home runs, 1 double, 1 RBI, or 3 hits, I should say, no home runs. 1 RBI, 4 walks, 15 strikeouts. Comes back, gets the big walk-off. Everybody's like, yeah, here we go. That's that kid that went down to the minors. He was busting ass. He was hitting everything. And then he comes up, figures it out, and then goes right back to what it is. Keston Hiura may be a career minor leaguer. One of the best ever to play in the minors, but one of the most you can't figure them out conundrums from minor leagues to pros to ever swing a ball back. Just goes right back into it, hitting .218 on the season. It's frustrating. I get it. Brewers, we're going to get to all of your statements over there on the Bud Light live stream. That's coming up next on the Bill Michaels Show.
Covering Wisconsin sports like a blanket. This is the Bill Michaels Show on the Wisconsin Sports Zone Radio Network.
Wisconsin isn't snobby, snooty, or pretentious. It's Midwestern charm at its finest. And that's exactly what Forgotten Fire Winery in Peshtigo is all about. Fun in a bottle without the attitude. You can find their full wine and cider lineup in their tasting room or in liquor and grocery stores throughout the state. The winery is a great place to get away for wine and cider tastings, great live music, and private events all year long. Remember, any time is a great time for Forgotten Fire wines and ciders. Wisconsin wine made from Wisconsin people.
Bill Michaels will resume in 3 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 2 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 1 minute. Bill Michaels will resume in 30 seconds.
Last few days, I'm sure, have felt like 500 miles for the Milwaukee Brewers as they ended up falling to the San Diego Padres, the last three. Off today, back at it tomorrow. And here's another thing that I want to address and I want to get into. I was over on Twitter this morning and kind of putting out some of the stuff regarding the show. And there was one particular comment that basically said that nobody was, or I shouldn't say nobody, but the crowd was less on bobblehead day. The crowd was less on bobblehead day. And they wanted to know if it was a byproduct of gas prices. And, I kind of said, the question came and said, hey, Bill, do you think the gas prices and generally everything going up is affecting the attendance at Brewers games? I have friends there today, and they say it looks light for a Sunday bobblehead day. And my reaction was basically, look, I'm sure gas prices have something to do with it. The cost of living going up and pretty significantly over the last few months specifically has, had people thinking twice about the money they want to spend and where they want to spend it. And people responded, with certain things about the amount of, the cost of a beer price now, the cost of tickets and such, and things going up, and the fact that the team is not entertaining to watch. They're not hitting the baseball with any kind of consistency. So some of that has turned people off, and I understand that. But Drew Time says, once-in-a-lifetime pitching staff. Right now should be the time you go all in. The upper half in Major League Baseball attendance and the lower half for payroll. The team was bought for under $250 million and now valued over $1 billion. Mark Attanasio needs to sell the team to someone who truly wants to win a World Series. And he said, Mark is cheap, so why should fans pay? And my reaction to that is basically, look, Mark Attanasio has spent money on the Brewers. First of all, the Christian Yelich contract was a big contract. Let's not fool ourselves. He did spend money. In a season in which last year you didn't think he was going to spend money. As a matter of fact, I thought they would contract some money. They ended up spending it. They went and got Colton Wong and Jackie Bradley Jr. they picked up, and granted that turned out to be a bad deal, but they spent money. Now, because he didn't spend as much money as you think he should have or bought the player that you wanted him to get, doesn't mean they didn't spend money. They spent more in arbitration on guys like Josh Hader, Brandon Woodruff, Corbin Burns. They went out and, they found themselves kind of a retread, if you will, and Andrew McCutchen, who's still at least in parts paying off. Hunter Renfroe, Narvaez. They've got a decent staff. Urias is now your everyday third baseman. Where did you want him to spend the money? Because it's easy to say go spend the money. Where? We went through the numbers. Now, Rowdy Tellez has since cooled off, but for a period of time, he was hitting as good, if not better, monetarily speaking, than any of the first basemen in Major League Baseball that got the big contracts. He was paying better dividends. Hell, he had better numbers. So it's easy to say go spend money and sell the team. First of all, that's ridiculous because he's been a good owner. The last time the Brewers have been in back-to-back postseasons was, let's see here, 2 plus 10 plus, never. So I understand you would like that one other piece, but you were counting on Kane to have a bounce back year. You were counting on Christian Yelich to have a bounce back year. You were counting on guys to be healthy. When you've got 6, 7, 8 guys, Woodruff's down, Peralta's down, Narvaez has been down, Renfro's down, Adames is down, Urias has been down. I mean, I can go through the list. You're banged up. You're banged up and you come off of an 18-game road trip or stretch where you're 9-9. It's not bad. But we'll talk about that when we come back. And we'll get to all your comments over on the Bud Light live stream, I promise. Stay tuned. Broadcasting live, Ironwood Golf Course here in Sussex. Beautiful place. I love it out here. Just a great landscape. You can see it if you're watching on the Bud Light live stream. Stay tuned. Got a lot more of the Bill Michaels Show coming up. 3 more hours, as a matter of fact, yet to go. We'll be back right after this.
This is a Wisconsin Sports Zone update.
Yesterday at American Family Field would see the Milwaukee Brewers lose in extras 6-4 to the San Diego Padres in 10 innings. This 4-game series against the Padres would also see the Crew only win 1 out of 4 and only score 9 runs over those 4 games. Manager Craig Counsell talks about playing 18 games in 17 days and if it affects their offense.
No, I mean, I think you're going to go through stretches this season where you just got some guys that aren't swinging the bat well. You know, we're missing. We got some guys banged up, and that's kind of changed who's been playing a little bit. But it doesn't. You know, everybody's got a 162 game schedule with no off days and all that stuff. So it's not an excuse.
The Brewers do have off today. They welcome in the Philadelphia Phillies tomorrow at American Family Field. To the NFL, tomorrow marks the beginning for the Packers' mandatory minicamp. Those practices will run Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday after a few veterans missed OTAs. This is what head coach Matt LaFleur had to say.
I'm not comfortable with anybody not being here. So I like them all here. But, you know, again, it's their choice. So, you know, next week is mandatory minicamp. So there's consequences, obviously, for not coming.
Your work-life balance is important to you, and Sutton Transport agrees. Sutton Transport offers a 5-day work week, same start times daily, and you'll be home nightly and on weekends. Sutton Transport is now hiring CDL drivers and forklift operators for all shifts. Enjoy some of the best benefits in the industry, consistent year-round work, twice-a-year wage increases, and enjoy your family time you deserve. That is work-life balance. The road to success is with Sutton Transport. Apply at suttontrans.com.
A group of Wisconsin donors has launched the Varsity Collective to open up another avenue for Badger athletes to make money off their name, image, and likeness. It will be a destination for Wisconsin Badgers student athletes to identify business opportunities. For the Wisconsin Sports Zone Network, I'm Ebo.
Hour number 2 of the Bill Michaels Show. We are live. We're at Ironwood Golf Course. We're here in Sussex, just northwest of the Milwaukee area. Our first cigar dinner of the season, brought to you by our friends at Quick Trip and Tobacco Outlet Plus Grocery, and really looking forward to it. And I can actually see some of the pavement down below beginning to dry out, which is awesome. It was really, really coming down here a little bit earlier today. And the outing that's out there right now, they're playing. It's just they're doing it without carts because the course was extremely. It was actually a couple of streams running through the fairways. 1 on 9 coming down, and if you're watching on the Bud Light live stream, kind of the top left hand section was down into the green. There was nothing but a stream of water, and it is cleared up. It's soaked in, and hopefully this afternoon we at least get decent enough weather to be able to go out and swing it a little bit. Hopefully I can, and I'm sure the others that do, they're going to have a great time. Then we're going to have a nice dinner afterwards, some cigars, and take advantage of the full opportunity to just sit back, relax a little bit after a good weekend. So the Brewers did not have a good weekend. We're talking a lot about the Brewers and their situation right now. And the Brewers have not played good baseball by any stretch, to say the very least. And in addition to that, the spotlight squarely on Christian Yelich, who was playing even worse. than the rest of the team. He has been pretty bad. And in addition to that, they have been besieged with injuries. You start with Woodruff and Peralta and then kind of work your way back from there. And you've got Adames and Renfroe. Looks like they're going to be back sooner rather than later. But then you've had, Narvaez and Urias, and you go through the whole list of injuries that this team has had. And it's been tough. And yet coming out of an 18-game stretch, they're 9-9. So on one hand, yeah, it's tough. Completely get it. But on the other hand, you look at it and go, well, wait a minute. As bad as things have been as of late, and they have been, I'm not going to sugarcoat it, as bad as they've been as of late, they're still, even though it's only a half game, they're still ahead of the Cardinals. 33 wins. Now that's 4 short of the New York Mets, who have 37 on the season. But it's not bad. It's the least amount of wins of any division leader right now, except for the Minnesota Twins, who have 32. But the Brewers are hanging in there. They're 4-6 in their last 10 ball games. They're scoring 4.4 runs per game. And I know, look, they've had some games in which they've had massive chunks. But, how many games are they into this season now? Let's be real, right? They're 56 games into this thing. 56 games. They're averaging 4.4 runs per game. If they keep that up throughout the entire season, they're going to win a lot of ball games, especially once the pitching becomes whole again. Corbin Burns, an uncharacteristic rough outing the other night. He gave up 5. It happens. Every team goes through a little bit of a stretch. Now, if it becomes prolonged, obviously, you start to look at things a little bit differently. But I'm not in panic mode. I am in frustration mode, no doubt. But I'm not in panic mode. And, I want to get to a lot of the questions that many of you have over in the comments you have on the Bud Light live stream. But one of the questions that keeps coming up is, well, can you trade Christian Yelich away? And I find it interesting because it was only a couple of weeks ago when people were saying, I told you he could hit. I told you. They were coming out of the woodwork. And I kept saying, he hit. It's great. I hope he proves us wrong. But until he gives me an entire season that resembles at least close to what it is he had given us, one game in baseball does not a season make. So don't give me that just yet. And sure enough, after the video post, and when he hit for the cycle in Cincinnati, he has been abysmal, which is putting it mildly. 14 out of 85, a 164 average, 252 on base percentage. That, my friends, sucks. 10 walks, 29 strikeouts, no home runs, 2 extra base hits, which means he's got 20. If you add up his hits and his walks, he's been on base 24 times, but 29 strikeouts. That's terrible. Terrible. And he's the guy that gets the spotlight because he's the guy that's got the money. He's the guy that's getting it. 877-867-1670, 877-867-1670. Okay. Comments. Here we go. Brett says, how many hitting coaches do you have to go through? Do you bring in a guest coach? No. Brett, I am 110% done blaming the hitting coach. Done. You can't go through coach after coach after coach after coach and say, that's a hitting coach. He's not teaching them the fundamentals of what to do and how to look. Look, at some point, it's incumbent upon the guys to be able to hit the damn baseball. That's what you're getting paid to do. And if your coach can't help you figure it out, then you go find somebody who can. But the bottom line is that this team just looks lost at times at the plate. Scott says, relax. Every team goes through these rough stages during the season. Scott's got the hang in there. Our buddy Chris, there's talk of a slump buster. Chris driving over the road. A lot of lot lizards running around back there. Maybe bring some into town. Who knows? Jim says, can't listen to Craig Counsell speak anymore. Talks like a politician, always waffling. And why won't a local writer at his press conference get in his grill and ask him, why don't you move Christian Yelich down? I don't know if anybody's asked him that, but I mentioned this a little earlier. When you look at the analytics, Christian Yelich, his numbers, certain analytical numbers like his bat speed, his hard hit ratio, all that stuff starts to come into play. The problem is he's hitting the ball hard, but it's right at somebody. The old adage in baseball is, well, eventually it's going to start to fall. Well, for Christian Yelich, when is eventually? What's the word eventually mean? What is that in a month? Another year? 2 seasons? 5 seasons? How long is that? You know, I completely agree with you. Tad says, would we really be that worse off trying to find somebody to take Kane and Yelich off of our hands, eating 75% of their salary and playing somebody like Mitchell or Frelick? Hell, those guys could hit 175 to 200, I'm sure. What's more disturbing is how aloof Yelich looks, not only at the plate, but also now in the field, almost like he's annoyed to even be out there. No, what he's annoyed at, and he has been a guy that I'm sure, specifically when he was going through the MVP years, he was being heckled and ripped and such in the outfield every ballpark he went into. I think now he might be getting annoyed because it's starting to happen at home. The natives are becoming restless, so to speak. People are noticing. People are noticing. We're not stupid baseball fans. You're not a stupid baseball fan. I may be, but you're not. People aren't stupid. And 9 times out of 10, the eyeball test is going to tell you 90% of what you need to know. You can look at a guy struggling. You can look at a guy watching first pitch fastball right down the middle. You can look at a guy that looks like he's guessing, fishing. He's thinking it's low and away, so he's stepping in that direction only to have a heater right down the middle, handcuff him, and shoot a dribbler back to the mound. You can see a guy that's looking to pull a ball and yank it out of the ballpark only to say you missed it by 3 feet because it was low and away and it was a breaking ball. You never should have been a swinging at to begin with. You look like you're guessing. Lorenzo Cain, to read that article to where he just says, I don't have any answers, I don't know, that's a guy that's given up. I mean, as far as the mind, the mental aspect of the game goes. Now he's just out there just saying, I'm just going to go close my eyes and see what happens. You come in, you're a pro, you grind, you work, you do everything you can, no doubt. But to hear him or read that he's basically saying, I don't have any answers, I don't know what to do, that's disappointing. That's disappointing. Adam says it seems like Yelich has been trying to get a base hit by going opposite field, but it keeps going right to the one guy on the field with a shift. The shift has had something to do with it, I'll give you that. But still doesn't look good. There are the average of 4 runs per game or more, Ronald says, from all the blowouts. But you know what? They all equal out in the end. You blew a team out because you were hitting the baseball. It's a good thing. And you're not hitting the baseball against one pitcher. I mean, runs comes in. If you score runs, you earned it. That's what it is. Now, if you have a total of 3 games on the season that played a total of 35, 40 runs, yeah, then you can probably look at it and say, okay, it's skewed a little bit, but they've had consistency. It's not like they haven't played well at all, right? I mean, the games in which they're winning, they won. Go back to Cincinnati 3-1. 6-3. They did blow out Cincinnati 18-4 and 10-5, but they won those games. They scored 6 runs the very next night against Atlanta. The next game they won, they played at 5 against Cincinnati. They won at Miami 2-1 and then 7-3. Then they won a close one 1-0 against Atlanta again. So it's not like they're winning games cheaply. 4-1 against San Diego, 2-1 against San Diego. St. Louis, they won 4-3, 8-0 at St. Louis, right? So it's not just 1 game or 2 games. They're pretty consistent. I give them the 4.4 runs per game. So I guess my point to all of this is, while some guys have been struggling and they're doing it ugly and right there for everybody to see, I don't think things are as bad as people are making them out to be. It was a craptastic weekend. It was a bull stuff weekend, no doubt, but it's not awful. And I'm not going to blow it up because of, you know. John says right now it's tough to hide Yelich in the lineup when you've got 2 to 3 other sinkholes in the lineup as well. Hoping that Renfroe and Adames coming back fill some of the holes. Hura should be back in the minors. They must have some way of either calling someone up from the minors or trading for somebody that can hit. Again, 2 things here. One is, if you're going to trade for somebody, who are you going to trade for? Right now, this early in the season still, I think you're trying to make some phone calls and maybe just to see what's available. The same as other teams I'm sure are probably doing to you. But I don't think – I think right now a lot of teams are still determining whether they're buyers or sellers. And then the teams that you clearly know are going to be selling. I mean, some of these teams you can look at, Kansas City is going to be selling. Oakland, they're going to be selling. 20 and 36, they're going to be selling. Same with Seattle, most likely. You know, you could say the Tigers are going to be sellers as well. This is all American League. Baltimore, certainly. You're sitting at 500 in Boston. I don't think Boston fans. I think Boston fans would revolt if they gave up this early in the season with the Yankees off to such a fast start. Yankees are 7.5 games up in that American League East over the Blue Jays and the Tampa Bay Rays. But you look at Colorado. They're going to be sellers. Cincinnati is going to be sellers, but you're not going to trade within your division, most likely. The Cubs aren't going to do you a lot of help, right? Maybe the Diamondbacks before it's all said and done. There's going to be some teams out there that are already knowing they're sellers, but they're going to wait for the trade deadline. They're going to get the most they can. So you can start setting it up now, but I don't think you're going to get your value right now, to be perfectly honest with you. And if I'm a general manager that's going to be a seller, I don't think I'm going to, unless you got a guy that's abnormally hot that usually isn't, that may bring you more value. I don't think I'm going to be jumping off of that bandwagon anytime soon. I'm going to wait until teams are desperate, and then I'm going to make my best deal. That's what you do, you know? Ryan says this team has been home run or bust for many years. Too many journeymen and no prospects on the offense. The Cardinals brought up 3 guys, and they're raking. Pablo Reyes says it all. And that, in particular case, you're right, Ryan. The part of the issue is that when they started to bolster all the pitching, and pitching is everything, as we know, in Major League Baseball, but when they started to trade away some of their piecemeal players, they traded away a few guys. You know, and they depleted the farm system, and they kind of went for it. But again, I'm not going to count them out because I still think there's going to be a deal or 2 to be made before the trade deadline comes and goes. And I still think when the team gets back and gets healthy, they've got an ability to start putting the ball in play again and get back to where they were 3, 4, 5 games up in the division. And I say that because I really believe they have the best pitching staff in baseball. But the Freddie Peralta thing is probably the most disconcerting because he's not coming back anytime soon. He's not going to be around for a while. Brentley says Wisconsin sports fans that don't really follow sports annoy me. It's like riding in an elevator up and down, up and down, up and down. Just relax. Just relax. There you go. What else do we have here? There was one other question I wanted to get to. Where did it go? Lucas. Hey, Bill, you're going to be at the IndyCar Series at Road America this year. Going to be there, not doing the show there, but going to be there, yes. Kind of meandering around. Going to be there for that, the IndyCar Series and the NASCAR Series. Superbikes this past weekend. I did not get a chance to see them, but boy, I got a chance to see some of the videos and such from up there. It's amazing to me to watch the Harley teams and such ride baggers, ride road glides at such an incredible angle around the tight corners of Road America. It's fascinating and kind of freaky, to be honest with you. Just amazing. 877-867-1670. Want to hit us up? Do so. Again, 877-867-1670. This portion of the program being brought to you by our good friends over there at Forgotten Fire Winery. Forgotten Fire Winery. Forgotten Fire, and I had a couple that was asking me about this yesterday because they hear me talk about it, and friends of mine. I shouldn't say just because they hear me, but we were talking about it. And they said they had never been there and never heard of them. And they're kind of the wine connoisseurs. They dabble more than I do in wine. And I said, you know what? They've got a couple of different bottles that are award winning. They've got a bunch of different wines that have been award winning, but they've got a Merlot that just went, I think it was Merlot that just won some awards out in California or against the California wines. So they're really good. But the winery, and specifically Jake, the winemaker, they don't care. It's great that they get the honors because it gives them that level of credibility. But what they love about it is if you like it, they're happy. That's all they care about. Making wine and being prestigious and snobby about it, that's one thing. But if they make something and you go, man, this is good, that's another. I had friends at my house on Friday and Saturday. I had my buddy Justin had come over and some other friends, and I pulled out the Forgotten Fire Winery, the cider that I had gotten up there with the cinnamon and brown sugar. And everybody, I gave everybody a taste. Here you go. I poured the glass. Everybody's like, oh my God, this is dangerous good, because it's good, but it's also got some level of alcohol. It's got a little kick to it, you know? It's what you enjoy. And that's what Forgotten Fire Winery is, whether it's the hot mess, the Merlot, the Shiraz, the Riesling, the Pinot Grigio, whatever it happens to be, whatever your bag is, they've got something for everybody. They really, really do. Look for them in your local grocers. Also look for them at Woodman's. I know a lot of different liquor stores carry Forgotten Fire Winery. That's ForgottenFireWinery.com. ForgottenFireWinery.com, and see for yourself what it is I've been telling you about. They're just really good people, really good wines, and a lot of, as they say, fun in a bottle. Wisconsin wine for Wisconsin people, made by Wisconsin people. Good stuff. More of the Bill Michaels Show next.
Covering Wisconsin sports like a blanket. This is the Bill Michaels Show on the Wisconsin Sports Zone Radio Network.
Things in Wisconsin that are meant for each other.
Beer and brats.
Now you're talking.
Chicago and playoff losses.
Delicious.
Sunshine in Pella windows.
Gina Della from Pella.
44% more natural light enters your home when we install our innovative hidden screen. Available exclusively on Pella 250 series single hung, double hung, and sliding windows. It's super easy and sleek. The window screen folds away when closed, keeping it clean from the elements and preventing bugs from entering your home thanks to a tight seal. Best of all, you and your home get to bask in all of that extra sunlight.
Yeah, but the wear and tear from opening and closing screens.
It was designed and tested to last 9,400 cycles, the equivalent to opening and closing it every day for 25 years.
Man, that's got to be expensive.
Choose 0% financing for 72 months or a free upgrade to the hidden screen on our 250 series.
Whoa, I need to jump on that now.
Visit PellaWI.com today.
Certain restrictions apply. See Pella Experience Center for details.
Bill Michaels will resume in 3 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 2 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 1 minute. Bill Michaels will resume in 30 seconds.
Welcome back to the program. I tell you what, we got a lot of rides. This past weekend was really cool. Did the motorcycle ride for our friends at All My Friends, and that was really fun. That was a neat ride. It was up around the Lake Winnebago area. It left Fudgy Knuckles earlier in the morning and went to 5 or 6 different locations before ultimately ending up back at Fudgy Knuckles, where we saw the rain coming. So the after party wasn't much of an after party. It was basically stop in, get something to eat real quick, and then head back. And we did, as we got back into the Milwaukee area and Waukesha, did get rained on a little bit, but still had a really a wonderful time. Raised, I think, $1,000 or more for All My Friends, and they do special rooms and sensory rooms and playgrounds and such for kids with autism and some special needs there. So that was a really neat day. And then yesterday, while it was rain shortened, we got basically the entire ride in yesterday for the Hogs for Heroes. And it was so cool because there was a guy named Patrick. He was a Marine. He had not one, but 2 different Purple Hearts. He had applied for this Hogs for Heroes campaign and kind of therapy for, on a motorcycle, so to speak. And you take out not just the service, but what he had been through and what he had done and his story, and both times being on patrol and having IEDs kind of ripped through their Humvee, and one of them, ripped through the front to the back of it, or the back to the front of his foot, and amputated toes. And another time he had taken one in the leg, and it just such an incredible story of what these men and women go through. And then they gave him the keys to a brand new motorcycle. And it was just such an emotional driving moment yesterday. Last year's Hogs for Heroes raised over $20,000. I don't know what this year's raised because I think the numbers were down a little bit just for the fact that there was the threat of rain. But just 2 great events this past weekend. Joe and Ellen Hennis put on such a wonderful event out at Sloppy Joe's yesterday, and Bobby Frisk Band was fun, and the food was, spectacular as always, but the cause itself was just something of honor. It was just great to be a part of it. Same thing with our friends from All My Friends, Brad and Diane Helmer, who started that charity years ago. This was the 11th ride, and they had a great route and everything planned out. So just 2 wonderful events this past weekend. So thanks so much for allowing all of us to be a part of that, because it was really, really cool. 877-867-1670. Want to hit us up, please feel free to go ahead and do so. Again, 877-867-1670. This is from Jack. Jack says, hey, Unit, at what point do you just admit that Keston Hiura is a failure? He is never going to amount to anything in Major League Baseball. He's always going to be a career minor leaguer. If you look at him now versus the way he was when he first came up, he is swinging wildly, nowhere near the disciplined hitter that he used to be. And he looks at times like he's guessing. Is that the way most major league hitters look? Yes. Why? Because baseball pitchers have become far more advanced than baseball hitters, and we're seeing this throughout the majors. Keston here is a prime example of a guy who can rake over guys who don't have great stuff in the minors. But once you get to good stuff, once you get to hit against good stuff in the majors, you're just not the same hitter. There is nothing that I can say that passes the eyeball test as an argument for that. The same thing for Christian Yelich when people say, well, he was a product of stealing signs. At this point, there's nothing I can say. I'm not saying he did. I'm just simply saying I don't have anything to prove you're wrong. Other than the fact that you have no evidence of that. But that's been the rumor, that underlying, hey, there were certain guys that were benefactors of sign stealing, and he was one of them. I don't know. I just know that nobody has ever come to me and said, or ever put out on the internet and said, here is exactly what was going on. Here's what the Brewers were doing. I'll defend that till the day I die. But for you just to have an assumption and to say, prove me wrong, I can't. As much as I can look at you and say, prove to me that that's what was going on, I can't look at you and say, I can prove you wrong. Because the kneecap incident, the injury, coincided with that scandal. So was it the injury? Quite possibly. Got a hitch in his giddy up. Something just isn't right. Whatever. I don't know. I couldn't tell you. But it also happens to coincide with when Major League Baseball began this investigation and basically got rid of some general managers and managers, but didn't find any players, which I find extremely funny. Much like the NFL investigation into the Washington Commanders, after all of that, all they found was, John Gruden, the guy they wanted out of football. They found an email from him, which we know is crap. But there was never anything to say that he was. So what do you want me to say? There's nothing I can say. 877-867-1670. You got something, bring it. 877-867-1670. Hit us up. This is from Terry. Terry says, hey, Bill, glorious Monday, a rainy day just to sit home, pet the dog, and watch some Andy Griffith. That's exactly what I'm doing. Terry, appreciate the email. It says that I still have faith in Christian Yelich can turn it around. Right now, it's a guy just putting a ton of pressure on himself to try to get himself straightened out. He says, I think that the pitching is going to come around, and as guys around him begin to hit, he will then begin as well to hit. It's a team game. It's a team sport played by individuals and individual statistics. I think the Brewers are going to be just fine. That's from Terry. I love your optimism, Terry. Love it. Our buddy Steve said, I just returned from the glorious Northwoods. Fishing was tough, but the beauty that is Tomahawk and Minocqua, still worth a trip. I love Tomahawk. I cannot wait for the Tomahawk fall ride this year. One of the most favorite things I do every year is go up north to the Tomahawk area. I cannot wait to, hit all of the bars and restaurants and supper clubs up in the area, the Bonnie and Clyde, which is across the bay from where we stay, or across the lake from where we stay, and can't wait up to get to the Windmill ice cream area and Loons up there. And I just love it. Love it. I agree with you. Regarding the Brewers, it may be possible to see how the crew responds with the return of Willie Adames and Hunter Renfroe. If they don't start hitting soon, I think David Stern starts making some calls, unless he already has. Yelich's struggles don't appear to be getting any better anytime soon. So park his fanny on the IL for a week or two and have him work on getting the kinks out. If they don't do that, then at least drop into 6th or 7th in a lineup. I agree with you on the Hero situation. He definitely appears to be a career minor leaguer. What would be the return if they would package him and a pitcher to obtain another bat that can produce on a major league level? That's our buddy Stephen Richfield. That's a great question. If you packaged up Keston Hiura, what with a pitcher to get another bat in return, what would you get? I don't know what Keston Hiura's value is. You can certainly look at Keston Hiura and go and present him to another team and say, look, maybe it's just greener pastures, but this guy's got this ability in him, Or is Keston Hiura the modern day version of Crash Davis? He's either that modern day version of Crash. He's going to be the home run king. He's going to be an all-time career hitter in the minors, and he's never going to amount to what you wanted him to in the bigs. Man, that's a possibility. But I don't know what you would. Maybe you just get just a 260 hitter, 265 hitter that gives you a little bit of pop and maybe a utility guy. And that's really all you're looking for, right? Just somebody else to come in and maybe find a diamond in the rough again. You're not going to go out. You're not going to make a trade. Mike Trout is not walking through that door, right? So you're not going to get that kind of a deal. And you don't have that kind of equity to trade. Unless, of course, you went with hey, Christian Yelich needs greener pastures, but who's going to take that contract? It just, I don't think a lot of big answers are going to come walking through that door. I think what you have to hope for is that you get your pitching staff back to good. And then, some of these guys that you're relying upon, they stay healthy and well. This isn't hard. You're going to try to find a guy that you can catch lightning in a bottle, and you're going to hope that the guys that you currently have get back to at least what you believe to be their regular form, and the pitching comes back to where it's supposed to be. And then you'll win games. Whether or not it gets you deep into the postseason, that's a whole other story. More of the Bill Michaels Show coming up next.
This is the Bill Michaels Show on the Wisconsin Sports Zone Radio Network.
Bill Michaels will resume in 5 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 4 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 3 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 2 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 1 minute. Bill Michaels will resume in 30 seconds.
I see lighter skies and a little peak of sun. Not a bad way to go. We're broadcasting live here at Ironwood Golf Course in Sussex, where you can kind of see, if you're watching on the Bud Light live stream, you can see a little shadow, some areas down there where the shadows are. And that's right, the sun's starting to pop through, which is awesome for the day. You got a golf outing out there on the course right now, and then we're going to be out there a little bit later on this afternoon. And it's our first, the reason we're here is because it's our first cigar dinner of the year. So I'm really glad to be doing these again this year. These things, it's really cool that they become this demanded. We're here today, and then we go to, from here, we'll be in La Crosse coming up in a few weeks. We're going to be at Celebrations. Can't wait for that. We've got Wild Ridge Golf Course, which is coming up. Where are we? We got a whole grouping of these things. Go to tobaccooutletplusgrocery.com. That's tobaccooutletplusgrocery.com for all the events. And if you want to buy some tickets, but we got all kinds of these events coming up, and I just love them. I love doing them. So we're going to be at Celebrations coming up here towards the end of June. The cigar dinner, there's going to be another one on June 27th. We're going to be at Cortez's down in Kenosha. The first time we've done one in Kenosha. So I love it. July, we take July off. Everybody's got something going on in July, right? So we take July off. And then we're going to be at Wild Ridge Golf Course on Monday, August 1st. That's in Eau Claire. We got another one coming up at Cedar Creek Golf Course in Onalaska. That is coming up on August 17th. We're going to be there for that. We've got another one at Pine Valley Golf Course. That's in Marathon County. That's up there on September 7th. We're going to be there. Then we're going to be at the Wissota High Shores in Chippewa Falls for a cigar dinner on Monday, September 12th. Then from there, we head back to La Crosse. We're going to be at Celebrations for the second of our dinners on Tuesday the 13th, and I think we're going to wind it up with a couple after that. But man, we got a big schedule this year, so awesome stuff. Our buddy Rick over on the Bud Light live stream says took a mental health day today, looking forward to some warmer weather. Yeah, I'm looking forward to warmer weather too. It doesn't look like the warm weather, the more hot, humid stuff is going to get here until this weekend. But I'm with you, man. I'm with you. 877-867-1670, 877-867-1670. Some news today is that Aaron Rodgers he kept his word. He is at the mandatory minicamp. Ben, you're getting this direct, right?
Tom Pelissero reported it earlier today. And if I'm not mistaken, they have a physical today and then mini camp Tuesday through Thursday. So I believe he is in Green Bay today.
So the physical today, and then he will be there tomorrow. So well, that's great. Great to see Aaron Rodgers showing up and putting his money where his mouth. He kept his word. I don't have a problem. I know some people are all over Rodgers for what he is and isn't doing. And I've said this before. While I care, I do care. Okay, there's a part of me that says, damn it, this is you got 1, 2, 3 years to go for it. This is the go for it year, man. Let's do this. And that's what you want out of this guy. Come on, let's go. Bring it. Let's go. But on the other hand, I'm a hypocrite because I'm the guy that says, I don't care what you do. I just don't want to hear your excuses come mid-season. If you start to fail to say, well, I'm not on the same page, or they got to earn trust, or, because this is when you build all of that. So you do what you want to do. You do you. That's fine. But you make one damn excuse about relationships and team building and all that kind of stuff and trust and all that crap during the season. If things go awry, then you are the absolute hypocrite, and I will crucify you for it. But I'm good right now, man. Hey, everything's great. Aaron Rodgers he could fall out of bed and still play extremely well. It's just those little things, that little thing here and there, that little thing there. That's what's going to make the difference between you being a good team getting to the postseason and a great team going to a Super Bowl. So let's hope that he gets there. He has a great time and does what needs to be done to be able to kind of accelerate some of these young guys, or at least the guys that are coming in for the first time via offense, and get it going. That's all I care about.
Bill, this does very importantly put aside all of the rumors about him participating in this weekend's Live golf event in London.
Yes.
So that's the breaking news here, is that he's not joining the Live.
I should have known when you brought that up, because in your world, everything revolves around golf.
Or funny rumors that have no basis.
Right. Everything goes in that direction. I get it. There's nothing wrong with that. I get it.
Bill, we put the me in media. Come on now.
Yes. Yes. And there's an I in media as well. There's no we in media. I'll tell you that right now.
Steph Curry was, though, seen regripping his clubs last weekend. So it is yet to be seen whether he will still play in the finals.
Yeah,
coming up
he's
this weekend.
got more work to do. He's got more work to do. They absolutely just blew out. Did you take pleasure in watching the Celtics go down yesterday?
100%. It was awesome.
I loved it. And I told you that I would really kind of figure out who I'm rooting for in all of this before it was all said and done. Because on one hand, you got that East pride. You're thinking, that's where the Bucks came from. You won the team that beat the Bucks. You'd like to see them go on and win a championship, so you can say, well, you know what, the Bucks could have won one had they beaten them. And you probably still could say that, but I'll tell you this: I cannot root for a Celtics team that does nothing. I mean, they have taken the art of bitching and whining to a whole new level. I take so much pleasure in watching them go down like the Titanic. Now, I don't know what the rest of the series is going to hold, but I'll say this. The look on Marcus Smart's face most of the time, I wonder if he goes to the bathroom in his own house and sneezes while he pees all over the toilet lid and all over the floor, and then runs down the hall and calls the plumber and starts yelling at the plumber. That seems to be what the guy is. I thought LeBron James was an absolute positive jackass. Marcus Smart's taken the word jackass and gone to a different level with it when it comes to complaining to the officials. Man. Now, he's the guy that defensively you'd love to have on your team. But, oh my God. He's basketball version of a soccer player. Oof. So I have to admit, I took a lot of pride in pounding my chest, even though Kristen got mad at me, being the Celtics fan that she is. She too, though. She starts to buy into, she's like, come on. And then after a minute or two, she's like, oh, okay. They'll show the replay and I'll go, look at that. Look at that. Oh, okay, you're right. And then towards the end of the game, she's turning, why is he always whining? Just play. And then she's shouting, just play the game. Play the game, at the TV. And I feel like the guy in the Progressive commercial, when the people start clapping at the end of the movie and he says, no one here that made the movie. No, nobody can hear you. I'm that guy. I'm like, nobody can hear you. Don't worry about it. Nobody can hear you. So, but I took a lot of pride in that last night.
I think the Celtics are dead.
I think they are too.
Could come back to bite me, but their game one win was so improbable. Like you had Al Horford having a career high in threes.
Yeah.
Now, like with what the Warriors can do and the way they carry themselves, like Steph Curry's arrogance is, very tangible, but it's so cool because he does everything right and it all works.
Yeah.
Right. Like if Marcus Smart carried himself like Steph Curry, I would hate him even more, but he doesn't.
Yep.
But yeah, I think that the series is over.
Yep. I would wholeheartedly agree. I think this one's done.
Is game 3 a must win though?
No, it's not. It's not a must win for. I think it's a must win for Boston. I'll think it's a must win for Boston. Yeah.
What's the station there? WEEI.
EEI in Boston.
Is game 3 a must win for the Celtics?
I think we call them. I think we call them up and say, hey, can we get one of your guys on? Is this a must-win game for you? And then just maybe you'll hear like hang on a second. This is what you'll hear. That's my headset going to the ground. And then he's actually flopping. He's falling onto the ground saying, oh God, it's been so unfair. We got to win. And that's I can imagine that's what it is. Or it would be just the opposite.
Or his chair broke.
Or his chair broke, which I've had happen. I can admit that. I've gone ass over elbows. But would he then say, as the rest of the world is saying, realistically, and kind of look the microphone in the eye and say, yeah, we're a whole load of whiners over here. Or maybe distance yourself from the team. There's no we in that. I'm not on the court. I'm not playing. I'm not hitting a three. I'm not, taking an offensive charge. So maybe he just says, hey, you know what? The Celtics are a good basketball team, but they're the biggest bunch of criers, whiners, and babies I've ever seen play in the NBA. And therefore, other than maybe the Detroit Pistons from years gone by, therefore they don't deserve to win, and maybe he looks at it that way very realistically. I don't know. Maybe we call him and try to get him on.
I don't know. I'd just set him up and ask him about the refs and go on and act like, you're on his side with rooting for Marcus Smart.
I know, right?
So he finally realizes
that'll
it's
never
a shtick.
Yeah, that'll never happen. That'll never happen. I think he the way it was put to me is that Marcus Smart is the Joker because not only does he flail around and act as if he's always being harmed, but his hair resembles that as well. I thought
you were going to say because he gives everyone, severe mental health problems watching him.
Well, that too. Let's do this. We're going to go ahead and take a quick break. Stay tuned. We got more of the Bill Michaels Show broadcasting live at Ironwood Golf Course here in Sussex, Wisconsin. Loving it out here and getting ready for the Tobacco Outlet Plus Grocery Cigar Golf Outlet, our golf outing today. And then we're going to have a cigar dinner after the fact. Looking forward to that. This portion of the program brought to you by our friends at Pella Windows and Doors of Wisconsin. And I love them. I've got them in my home. I really do. Anytime I get somebody that comes by, they always want to see if I really have them. Yes, I do. Go check the label. There you have it. But they're just economical. They add value to your home. They have many innovations like the roll screen, the slider window. Now they've got a screen in your window that it lets even more light in. Yeah, I didn't even know you could do that, but they did it, and it's amazing. And they, add value to your home that you can't put a true number on when you go to turn around and sell your home. Because you don't know if it's going to add, $10,000 or $50,000. It's just your home is safe. It's secure. When you lay your head on your pillow at night, nobody's getting in. That's a great benefit to all of this. Stop in and see our friends at Pella Windows and Doors of Wisconsin. Go to PellaWI.com. That's PellaWI.com. See for yourself what it is everybody, including myself, is talking about when it comes to these doors and windows and the entry door systems. They have the sliding door, patio door systems. They have windows. They have bay windows. Anything you name it, they've got it, and they're great people. 855-PELLA-WI. That's PellaWI.com. 855-PELLA-WI. More to come right after this.
This is the Bill Michaels Show on the Wisconsin Sports Zone Radio Network.
Bill Michaels will resume in 3 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 2 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 1 minute. Bill Michaels will resume in 30 seconds.
How we looking? Bill Michaels Show brought to you by our friends at New Male Medical, treating guys with ED all over the state of Wisconsin, well beyond the borders. Call them, one number for all their locations. Whatever's got you down, whether it's ED or you need to do some weight loss, some low T, you're sluggish, you're moody, you're up and down, whatever. Call them 414-455-4451. That's 414-455-4451. That is the New Male Medical Center. Yes, it works. Yes, you can lose weight. Yes, they all but guarantee the fact that they can help you in many different areas. All you have to do is call. You can't do a damn thing if you don't pick up the phone. Pick up the phone. 414-455-4451. Ted says, when LeBron speaks, no one listens. I can't stand Mr. Flop. You know what? Somebody else had just emailed me regarding LeBron earlier. Where did it go? This is sorry about this. This is from Chris. Chris says, will not eat Ruffles anymore with LeBron James on the cover. Mr. Flop will not get my money. Anti-Ruffles. See, I love Ruffles.
That might be a little extreme.
Yeah,
Ruffles?
I don't buy Nike shoes. And Giannis has a set of Nikes, but I won't buy them because of a particular, company stance. So I won't do that. But I don't know if I'm going to cut out Ruffles because LeBron James is on the bag. I don't know if I could do that.
I'm fine cutting his weird tequila company.
Yeah, that's a whole other. Yeah, I'm not a huge tequila drinker anyway, but if I was not picking up his. Now Tito's vodka, I'll support him. Guy that hangs out here in Wisconsin, I don't mind that. I'll take it. Pac Fan says you're wearing a Nike shirt today. Yeah, it was given to me. I won't buy one. Try listening, Pac Fan, instead of correcting me all the time. Try listening to what I said. I said I won't buy one, you dumbass. Tom Oates is going to join us coming up next. We're going to talk a little NIL, and he had an interesting tweet last week that said it was the doom of college football. Interesting. I'm going to get into that. Stay tuned. A lot more coming up right after this.
This is a Wisconsin Sports Zone update.
Well, the Brewers closed out a stretch of 18 games in 17 days yesterday with a 6-4 loss to San Diego in extra innings. Trevor Gott gave up the 3-run homer in the top of the 10th to essentially give the game to the Padres. Milwaukee limped to the end of that extended stretch of games, losing 5 of their last 6. The offense, especially an issue in those losses, got shut out twice, managed to score more than 4 runs just once. But manager Craig Counsell wasn't ready to blame the lack of time off for their struggles.
No, I mean, I think you're going to go through stretches this season where you just got some guys that aren't swinging the bat well. We got some guys banged up, and that's kind of changed who's been playing a little bit. But it doesn't, everybody's got a 162 game schedule with no off days and all that stuff. So it's not an excuse.
Milwaukee should be getting an infusion of talent back in the lineup when they open a series tomorrow against Philadelphia. Assuming no setbacks, shortstop Willie Adames and outfielder Hunter Renfroe are expected to be activated from the injured list.
For nearly 40 years, ABC of Wisconsin has been helping men and women transform themselves into well-paid, productive members of their construction teams. Have you thought about a career in a skilled trade? These are the types of skills that could secure your future. Jobs that can't be outsourced to someone overseas. Be in demand. To get your career started, go to buildyourcareerwi.org.
Well, Packers quarterback Aaron Rodgers reported for the team's mandatory minicamp today as expected. The 4-time MVP has stayed away from the last 2 weeks of voluntary OTAs, but was there for his mandatory physical this morning. Green Bay going to be on the field for the first of 3 days of practice tomorrow. That practice and Wednesdays are open to the public. Things get going at 11:20. And 2 former Badgers on the ballot for the College Football Hall of Fame, quarterback Troy Vincent and AD and former offensive lineman Chris McIntosh. With this Wisconsin Sports Zone Network update, I'm Zach Heil-Print.
Welcome back, and we are glad you are with us. Thanks, as always, broadcasting live out here at Ironwood Golf Course, Sussex, Wisconsin. The first cigar dinner and golf outing of the year, getting ready to get underway here in about 2 hours from now, as a matter of fact. Joining us now, though, on the line, our good buddy Tom Oates from the Wisconsin State Journal, joining us and talk a little Badger football. And Oatesy, how you been, buddy? First and foremost,
just great.
Good to hear as always.
No complaints. Huh?
Good to hear as always, man. I'm glad you're doing well.
Yeah.
Good off season so far. Hey, I saw your tweet last week when you were talking about the gloom that is college football from the NIL and the Pandora's box that has been opened. And we've talked a lot about it over the last couple of weeks, as a matter of fact. But I wanted to get your opinion because I agree the Pandora's box has been opened. I don't know how you kind of all of a sudden come back and wrap your arms around it if you're the NCAA and regulate this. What does all of this mean in your opinion?
Well, the reason I tweeted that college football and probably college basketball too is doomed let's just look at football. They're already in trouble. The playoff has revealed one thing, that unless you're one of the 4 or 5 haves, you're a have-not. And you look at the same teams in the playoffs every single year, I think interest is going to start to wane. I think it's already started to wane in college football. I think it's a great sport. I love it. And I think they're in trouble, and they have a very uneven playing field. And the playoff has pointed that out very clearly, that how uneven the playing field. The playing field's always been uneven, and it's never going to be even. But my point is, between the transfer portal and more importantly the NIL stuff, I think the playing field is becoming more uneven. They should be enacting rules to make the playing field less uneven. And it's going in the opposite direction. And I think college football is in trouble already. Having said that, I'm a big fan of players getting paid. I always have been. I think this was built on their backs, and they deserve to be paid. I was also in favor of personal freedom for players. I'm not sure wide open spaces was, 4 schools in 4 years was the way to go. But my point is about all this is that there are no rules, and NIL is being used in recruiting, which we were promised it wouldn't be. Like anybody believe that that knows anything about college sports, and in fact, they said it wouldn't. All the NIL advocates, the Jay Billises of the world, said it wouldn't be used in recruiting, when in fact that's all it's being used for, is recruiting. And this collective at Wisconsin and collective around the country are proof of that. It's just being used in recruiting, and it's making, to me, it's making the playing field more uneven. If USC can give a Pitt receiver, who's a great receiver, mind you, $3 million to transfer from Pitt to USC, how can Utah or Washington State, which are in the same league with USA, how can they compete with that? I'm not talking about, Miami of Ohio or Coastal Carolina. I'm talking about teams in your own league can't possibly hope to compete with that. And the fact is, there's just no rules. And the NIL is a good thing, but there needed to be rules. And now, as you stated, I'm not sure they can stuff that genie back into the bottle.
So that's just my point. Is there a way to say, look, you can get paid, but the limit is there? Can you cap it? Can you put a salary cap on college athletes at this point to say you can't be paid more than X amount of dollars at all at any particular institution?
I don't think so, because the courts and the legislatures have gotten involved. The NCAA dropped the ball on this so bad, and had the least amount of foresight of just about anybody involved in the entire process. The NCAA and the presidents and chancellors, and they largely listened to the leaders of the NCAA. So, but they just dropped the ball on this so badly that I'm not sure. They need to rein it in, but how they can do it, I have no idea. I mean, I looked at Wisconsin. As you saw, they started a collective. Well, they had to. They didn't want to. Wisconsin tried to toe the old line, and by the time Wisconsin got a collective that is, where basically used to round up all the big money guys and money people, and distribute this money to the athletes in terms of NIL money. Wisconsin there were 68 schools that did this before Wisconsin. This is not what Wisconsin wanted to do, but the arms race in college sports is such that if the school down the street, Iowa, Minnesota, Ohio State, whatever, is doing it, you have to do it, or you just get buried. And they can say that it's not for recruiting purposes all they want, but I think we all know the truth.
So does Wisconsin, I don't know, Wisconsin, like you had said, they launched their, collective today, and that announcement came forth. But, when you look at schools, do they have enough in the coffer, so to speak, with their, alumni to be able to say we can compete in the arms race with the likes of Ohio State or Penn State or Michigan? Is that there? Is that ability there?
I think Wisconsin's in pretty good shape, to be real honest with you. I think as you look around these schools, you've been around, Bill. You know what Kentucky basketball is like.
Mm-hmm.
You know what North Carolina basketball is like. You know what Alabama football and Georgia football and LSU football. That's people's whole lives. And, you have to kind of stay within arm's reach of the Ohio States. Ohio State's going to have more money than anybody in the Big Ten. If they want a guy and you want a guy, you're done. And it's that simple, because it's become a bidding war. So, but can Wisconsin compete on fairly even terms? Yeah, I think so. I think there's enough money and enough interest and enough backing. And now there's some actual coordination, which came probably 6 months too late, but now there's some actual coordination between the program and the NIL, the people that are going to fund the NILs and et cetera. So I think Wisconsin can compete, but there's not many that can compete. I mean, I think ultimately you're looking at a I don't know, 30 to 60 team super level of college athletics. And if you can't compete, you're gone. But do I think Wisconsin can compete? Yeah, fairly well. I mean, this isn't a Wisconsin thing to me. This is a thing about killing the golden goose. And you know, the fact of the matter is the schools that have been in the playoffs, Clemson, Ohio State, Alabama, Georgia, LSU, look at A&M. And, you know, they haven't even been in the playoffs. But, you know, that between the collectives at A&M and Tech and the University of Texas are totally out of hand. USC, I mean, it's going to be the rich get richer, the poor get poorer. And I don't think college football can take that much more of that because it's trending in that direction anyway.
Talking with Tom Oates of the Wisconsin State Journal. That being said, how much, Tom, you get great athletes, but how much do the coaches then become they're already the figureheads, don't get me wrong, but the bankable figureheads to where you can say you've got enough cash. Is winning just everything, and that's where kids want to go? Or let's say, you know, Ohio State can pay these backups, these five-star backups to come into their system, $500,000 just to be a backup, to hang out and do nothing. But do you become the benefactor if you're Wisconsin to say, hey, look, you'll play here and have more of a legitimate shot at actually making it to the pros rather than being a backup to the backup? Like Joe Burrow left Ohio State, goes to LSU, wins the championship, first pick overall. He's going to get paid. So do you see a benefit, a sidebar to all of this, or is this just going to be the big are going to get richer and bigger and better, and those that are not are going to be left by the wayside?
I think if they get some rules in place, some semblance of rules, I don't think they're going to ever get a real strong rule because at this point, everything they do has to satisfy some state laws and courts, et cetera. But if they get it in check somewhat, I think it can work. But I just, the history of college football and the arms race of the last 20 to 30 years indicates to me that it's going to be really hard to get any kind of substantive rules that will have any effect. And right now, this is being used for recruiting. And anybody that says it's not, Jimbo Fisher or anybody else, when you hear coaches like Saban complaining about it and Ryan Day and who have all the benefits in the world, you know that there's something rotten in college athletics. And to me, much more of this, and college football is an absolute golden goose. It's for the schools. It is for the fans. It's a great sport, and with great interest. And you know but they're gonna ruin it. And unless they get a little more parity back in the sport, they're gonna ruin it. And it was hard to take as it was. This the wild west with the NILs will make it worse.
Talking with Tom Oates of the Wisconsin State Journal. Real quick before I let you go, Tom, Packers obviously with mandatory minicamp. Aaron Rodgers reportedly there. Give me your outlook on this season, and I want to also know: do you buy into the fact that a lot of the national pundits say, "Look, the Packers nowhere near the team to beat in the NFC because they just don't have enough offensive weapons"?
I think they're right where they've been the last 2 or 3 years. I think they every team they fielded in the last 2 or 3 years, and pretty much any team in the NFL has some weaknesses, especially at this point of the year. I don't think the roster building is totally finished yet. I do think a lot depends on Onion. I really do. I think if he can come back healthy, it would alleviate a lot of problems. I think Aaron Rodgers is such a masterful quarterback at this stage of his career that whoever he has at wide receiver, he will make it work. Are they going to miss Devontae Adams? Of course they are. He's an elite receiver. But I seem to recall Sterling Sharp had to retire suddenly, and the Packers offense continued to thrive. If you have a good offensive concept and an experienced good experienced quarterback, I think you can make it work. Now, will it be as good as last year's in terms of passing to the wide receivers? Probably not. I mean, Devontae Adams is special. We all know that. But there's still a lot of pieces on offense. Those two running backs that everyone was praising last year, they're still back. They need a few guys to step up, of course, but they always do. And you know, I think some of them could. I think Rodgers might be more of a factor this year. So we'll see. But I think they're right about where they were last year. I think they're one of the contenders in the NFC. I don't think they're, you know, you can say they're better than Tampa or San Francisco or LA or whoever, but I think they're right there with those teams, and just as they have been in the last few years.
One of the comments made was that it's very telling the Packers didn't do their due diligence to try and trade Jordan Love. And my thought was, I don't think, from what I understand, nobody was ringing the phone to pick up Jordan Love this offseason. So they say, well, it's the development of Jordan Love, and it's going to be his team in a year or two. I don't know necessarily that I buy into that. I don't know of anybody that with a scarcity of quarterbacks in this particular draft, if his stock was going to be high, it would have been high. And I didn't get a whole lot of sense that people were burning up the telephones at 1265 to say, we got to have Jordan Love. Well, what can we give you for him, right?
Well, a fair number of teams passed on him in the draft, which indicates that they weren't madly in love with him in the first round, right?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, that's to begin with. And what they've seen of him since then, in a few regular season appearances and a few preseason appearances, hasn't exactly rung the bell as to, you know, we got to have this guy. He looks to me, and I'm sure to them, a lot like he did in college. You know, he made some great plays, and then he had some inaccuracy that just plagued him. And so he's done nothing to really interest teams. I'm not surprised there wasn't, unless they thought they could swoop in and steal him for next to nothing, because, you know, I don't know that there's a great love of him around the league. And I know Packer fans are still hopeful, and, you know, maybe he'll pan out, but there just doesn't seem to be any buzz about him. And I don't even sense buzz coming out of Green Bay about him.
Tom, always a pleasure, buddy. Enjoy the rest of the offseason, because I'm sure it'll heat up rather quickly, okay?
All right. See you, Billy.
All right, buddy. Talk to you later. Tom Oates of the Wisconsin State Journal. Great to get his opinion. Talk a little bit about both the NIL and the situation that's going on, not just in Wisconsin, but throughout college football, college basketball. And he's right. Look, I grew up in the hotbed that was the area of Cincinnati, but we were within 100 miles of a lot of Ohio State, of Kentucky, University of Louisville, Miami of Ohio, 150 miles to Bloomington. You had a lot of college basketball talk, a lot of college football talk in those areas, and the passion amongst those fan bases was deep. I mean, crazy passionate deep. And you just, with the money that's being tossed around right now and what's going on, it's disconcerting for college athletics. College athletics, you looked at as different. You just always have. You looked at as, your coach set up a system within the program that gave them the edge when it came to recruiting. Your coach was a good coach. He hired good assistants. The assistants were good position coaches. The position coaches coached up the talent that they were able to get a hold of. You tried to keep your own in your state. You wanted Mr. Football, Mr. Basketball in the state that you wanted to keep those schools and keep those players and where they grew up. And there's a lot of pride in that. Now it's just, as Tom called it, it's a Wild West. It's, hey, we got so much money over here. Come on out. Your situation be damned. It doesn't matter if you're not good away from home. It doesn't matter if you're going through your first breakup or your first relationship. You don't know how to balance a checkbook. You don't have to do any of that. It's just out there, man. Just go for the money. It's and the institutions are like, hey, it's not our money. What do we care? Some crazy auto dealer down the street wants to pay you $100,000 to come in and stand in front of a car and sign a few autographs, and that's going to be the reason you come here. Not our money. that we don't care. Here we go, So it's, as he stated, the Wild West, and I don't think it's good for college yet. We can all see, and look, as he had mentioned Jay Billis, because I know he doesn't necessarily agree with the viewpoints of Jay Billis a lot of the time. Jay Billis always knows what's best for the players and knows what's best for sports. However, but what's best for college athletics goes by the wayside when you start to inject money without any regulation to it. And the fact that the NCAA was so incredibly stupid and dumb not to work something out prior to this thing being taken to court. And maybe it would have eventually, but so stupid not to have worked something out, to just cut off their nose to spite their face. It's beyond me, and it might have been the death knell for the way we look at college amateur athletics. 877-867-1670, 877-867-1670. This portion of the program brought to you by our good friends over there at Quick Trip. And a Quick Trip, by the way, you know who I ran into this morning? Our buddy Steve Novak, who a longtime NBA player and broadcaster with the Bucks. His dad checked me out today at Quick Trip. His dad works part-time at Quick Trip. Loves it there. I stopped in and got a yogurt and a Smart Water this morning, and he said, "Aren't you?" And I, said my name. He's like, "I didn't want to say it, And he kind of laughed, and we were sitting there talking. He said, "Well, my son." And I said, "What's your son's name?" And he said, "Steve Novak." Oh, Steve's coaching his kids and basketball and such right now, and he was filling me in. We caught up a little bit there at the checkout line, but you never know who you're going to run into. And there's still a short amount of time if you want to run into Quick Trip. Use your Quick Rewards number and still get some time to get some registration slips together for that 2022 Chevy Camaro SS they're giving away in a few weeks. Still some time, but you're running out. If you haven't gone in and gotten registered yet, do it. Use your Quick Rewards card. That's from our friends over there at Quick Trip. Stay tuned. More of the Bill Michaels Show up after this.
Covering Wisconsin sports like a blanket. This is the Bill Michaels Show on the Wisconsin Sports Zone Radio Network.
Bill Michaels will resume in 3 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 2 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 1 minute. Bill Michaels will resume in 30 seconds.
You got to hit it, bang it, rock it, put it in the pocket. Hit it, bang it, rock it, put it.
Bill Michaels Show continues on. We are broadcasting live. We are here at Ironwood Golf Course. Ironwood Golf Course in Sussex, which is where we have our cigar dinner coming up a little bit later on tonight, and some people starting to arrive for that, as you do have a few players out on the golf course. They had an outing a little bit earlier today. It did not get washed out. However, the carts were not allowed on the course this morning because of really soggy, wet conditions. But albeit the clouds have kind of re-encompassed the area, if you look at the radar in this area is looking more promising. So it looks like things are going to go off without a hitch this afternoon. So excited about that. Hey, our good friends at Dwayne's Cover It All, which if I was walking around on the golf course today, I might want to have him make me an umbrella just in case. But Dwayne does it all, whether it's a bimini top for your boat, a travel cover, if you're doing office furniture, something for your home, weight equipment, weight bench equipment, things like that. He can do it all. He can do it all, and he does it fantastic. I've seen numerous companies go to Dwayne in numerous different facets and say, hey, can you help us out, save us some money, that kind of thing. And he does great, great work. All you got to do is call him, 715-870-2119, 715-870-2119, and tell Dwayne we sent you. Good stuff. By the way, we've got an update. And that is the fact that Rusty Harden, the lawyer for Deshaun Watson, apparently the latest lawsuit filed against Watson mentions the comments of Rusty Harden, the ones that he made in the radio interview about, quote, happy endings. Yeah. It alleges that Watson was doing things to himself during the massage, and a lawsuit, event alleges that the plaintiff stopped the massage, but Watson stood up and continued anyway, aggressively, which I find funny adjective when it comes to that. Now, this is to himself. It's not to anybody else. But, the term happy endings apparently was put within the lawsuit. And according to many, that if this was filed by the plaintiff or filed by the accuser first, then because he took something out of the lawsuit and put it into a radio interview, he could end up being into a little bit of trouble for all of that. So I don't know. I don't know the whole deal. I don't know the the ins and outs, pardon the pun, of some of the things that are going on when it comes to Rusty Harden and Deshaun Watson and what's happening within the lawsuit realm. But I do know that the more those two speak, the more people dislike them and the more people want to see them go down. Obviously, Deshaun Watson speaking out on Real Sports, saying that he did not have anything to apologize for because he didn't do anything wrong, only inspired one person who apparently was an alleged, quote, victim of his to say, oh, yeah, well, now I'm going to tell my story. I'm going to tell my story with the text messages you sent me. So I'm going to take you down as well. So now another lawsuit has been filed against Deshaun Watson. Just saying, and Rusty Harden making the comments last week that, there's nothing illegal about massages that end with, quote, happy endings. If everybody's consenting and there's no money exchanged. Which, yeah.
Do you think those radio hosts from the morning show down there in Houston are going to get subpoenaed or deposed or whatever the word is? They're going to have to go in court. And
I
explain
wonder.
The
Yeah.
interview?
I wonder. I mean, you can hear the interview. All they got to do is they'll get the radio broadcast and they'll get all the context for which the radio broadcast was put in and the questions were delivered. I don't know if they need, other than to have them verify, yes, that's my voice. I don't know. I don't know. This is going to get weird. I got a feeling that as these cases are brought to, if they ever see a courtroom, as these cases are brought forward through the lawsuits, we're going to hear details we don't want to hear. Just, and I can't even read it just for the fact that I'm not sure what I can and can't say on the air. But apparently, one of the women alleged that Watson was doing things to himself during the massage. She stopped the massage. He jumped up off of the table and continued to do things to himself aggressively, and then came his own happy ending. And apparently, if he had that Red Ryder BB gun in Christmas Story, he would have shot her eye out. And apparently given her one to the chest with the BB gun. If you follow what I'm saying. That's in one of the lawsuits. That's what I'm saying. We're going to get details that a lot of us are going to go, no, nobody needs that. And then you're just going to walk away going, that Deshaun Watson, he's a mess.
I will say it kind of feels like the Trevor Bauer situation, where the more Bauer talks, the more you're like, oh, this dude's a crazy person.
Yeah.
Like the more he went off and trying to defend himself, the more you're like, why? Like this guy's insane.
Yep.
The Rusty Harden, Deshaun Watson thing is similar.
Yep.
Like, he should not be on radio. I would say.
I would agree. I would agree.
The thing is, I'd say you should talk to his legal defense, but he is the legal defense.
Right.
Maybe he's just an idiot.
I would agree. I would agree. And I get it. He's trying to be the machismo guy going, there's nothing wrong here. It doesn't matter what happens if it's between two consenting adults, which was Trevor Bauer's argument. Trevor Bauer never denied being a freak. He never said, I wouldn't do any of this. This is not in my nature. This is all exaggerated. This is taken out of context. No, Trevor Bauer's like, look, I'm going to text you. I'm going to pummel your ass. I'm gonna punch you right in the naughty bits, and I'm gonna big time WWE your ass, and then things are gonna happen, and he just admitted he's a freak. What we found out about her was she was a freak all along until it went too far, and then she took too much of a pummeling, and then she thought, well, I really want to be with this guy, and he's like, no, I'm done with you. I'm done with you. Then no, I never signed up for a relationship. I signed up just to pummel your butt, and that's it. And then she got mad about it. So I'm telling you what, this is the tip of the iceberg of weird, because there's a lot of weird out there. We all know that. It's just that these two guys happen to be making it public. Stay tuned. We got a lot more of the Bill Michaels Show coming up after this.
Covering Wisconsin sports like a blanket. This is the Bill Michaels Show on the Wisconsin Sports Zone Radio Network.
The Thunder is back, and you don't want to miss it. June 30th through July 3rd. It's the NASCAR Cup Quick Trip 250 and the Xfinity Series Henry 180. For tickets, go to roadamerica.com.
Bill Michaels will resume in 5 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 4 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 3 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 2 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 1 minute. Bill Michaels will resume in 30 seconds.
Welcome back. Yesterday, a great day. Our friends Joe and Ellen Hennis from Sloppy Joe's and Smoke on the Water, they put on a hell of a motorcycle ride. They held it off to get us clear weather, and it was great. We went, we had a great breakfast at Sloppy Joe's. From there, we went out to Stoll's Old 109 out in Watertown, which the hospitality and what Jeff and Alicia provide is fantastic. And then back over to Smoke on the Water in Okauchee for the celebration and the ceremonies and such regarding the Hogs for Heroes. The motorcycle was given away to a tremendous, very deserving Marine veteran. And it was just a spectacular day. And Joe and Ellen Hennis and Jeff and Alicia Stoll from Stoley's, great. Kudos to all of them. Kudos to all of them. So thank you so much for yesterday. And I highly suggest you support those businesses. They do so much for the community. And if you're looking for somebody to work with or go just have a dinner or a drink and give them a shot, make it them because they're just genuinely good people. 877-867-1670. You want to hit us up, please feel free. 877-867-1670. Let's do this. Let's go to Mike listening to us in Marinette. Mike, how you doing, man? What's going on?
I'm doing pretty good. You know, it's getting a little tiring hearing about just on Jordan Love. He was set up for failure to begin with because you really don't want to tick off the queen, which is Rodgers. You know, he's good, but Favre didn't want to help out Rodgers when he started. Mm-hmm. Rodgers didn't want to help out Love when he starts. You know, it's just crazy. You got to give the guy a chance. Give him the first Give him the first line. Give him all the best players on the team, and I think he's going to do just fine.
You think so? So you tell me in the game against Kansas City or the game against Detroit, what did you see that made you think he's going to be just fine?
I think that he has the ability. He just needs to be coached up a little bit, and he needs to speed up a little bit as far as making the decisions.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it's a question on how much coaching he gets versus what the other guy already knows.
Okay.
You know what I mean?
So you're saying with experience, he's going to be good.
Yeah. Hey, got to look back. Rodgers wasn't any good when he started.
No, but you could. My argument's always been you could see in both practice and in games glimpses. You could see what greatness Rodgers, how good he could be if he was able to put it all together. I don't see that in Jordan Love. That's my distinction between the two.
Well, I think you got to give somebody a chance before you already call him a failure.
Okay, fair enough. I appreciate it, man. Thanks, Mike. He drops off. You get on board 877-867-1670. 877-867-1670. Do you think like Mike? You want to be like Mike? Maybe. Who knows? Maybe. Mike's got his opinion. I've got mine. I think it was a bad pick. I think he's at best an average quarterback. I don't think there's much of an NFL career there. And that's what I've said since the day he was chosen. I've admitted I was wrong when it came to Rashawn Gary. I didn't think Rashawn Gary was going to be, this big-time, huge, edge-rushing pass, sack master. And he's not. That's not what he's developed into. He's developed into a very good defensive lineman who is solid, makes big plays when needed, and has been, at times, a disruptor. Far more so than I ever thought he would be. So Rashawn Gary, I'll give you that, man. I didn't think he was going to be that, but he's been good. He's been good. Jordan Love, no. I never thought Oren Burks would be that good. And I can say. Ty Summers had all kinds of wheels and played sideline to sideline. And his first year in preseason looked great. But I've often said what you see in preseason does not necessarily equate to what you see in regular season, and it just hasn't. He's been terrific special teams, but he just hasn't been able to put it all together as a middle linebacker. So, therefore, they've had to go out and get other guys, that type of thing. There's certain players you can look at, and you can just see it. There's a certain level of greatness or whatever it is that they have. You can see that they have potential to be better to tomorrow than they are today. I don't see that in Jordan Love. Maybe, like Mike said, maybe the decision-making becomes quicker with time and experience and the more that he sees thrown at him. Okay, I'll give you that. And I saw one glimpse, and I've stated this over and over again, one glimpse of being able to deliver the football in a tight window. Other than that, I haven't seen anything. 877-867-1670, 877-867-1670. Ted says, I agree with the caller. Look at Favre. The Falcons didn't see him as great, and look what he turned out to be when given a shot. Okay. Ted, if that's where you want to go, okay. Do you think his arm is as strong as Favre's? No. Do you think he has the same tenacity as Favre? No. So in comparison, you can say parallel career-wise, maybe. But beyond that, I don't know. Steve says, who is the bigger bust, the Packers' Tony Mandrich or the Brewers' Christian Yelich? Ooh. You got to go with Tony Mandrich. Because Tony Mandrich never produced. Christian Yelich at least produced. He's given you years of productivity up until the injury. And Tony Mandrich has never won an MVP. Never came close. Christian Yelich has won a couple. So you'd have to say the bigger bust would be Tony Mandrich. by far. Aaron says, hey, Bill, what's your thoughts? Do you think the Packers are going to sign an additional veteran wide receiver? And if so, who may they end up targeting? I think they do. I don't know when. I wish I had a better answer for you. I thought maybe somebody might become available after June 1st, that maybe a name that would kind of shock us and say, oh, my God, they're on the open market, and then suddenly the Packers get them. But as of right now, no. I don't think there's anybody out there that the Packers really have high hopes for, or a player say that maybe they're waiting to see, like an OBJ. Maybe they see him recover and say, okay, the guy's ahead of schedule. Let's go ahead and pick him up and see what he can do to help us midway through the season. But maybe after cut down day, as you start to look for some of these cuts from some of the teams in training camp, maybe they get somebody. But as of right now, today, here today, no, I don't see them doing something. But I still think they don't go through the season with what it is they have. I still think there's going to be an addition there. I just couldn't tell you who off the top of my head. 877-867-1670. When we come back, got Tyler listening to us in New York. We'll get to Tyler and a whole cast of thousands. Stay tuned. Also, Kevin Holden, CBS 58, going to be joining us coming up after the top of the hour, so hang in there for that. This portion of the program brought to you by our friends at Stenny's, Second and National, Walker's Point. They are downtown in Milwaukee, Milwaukee's best sports bar, and they run shuttles to the games. So if you're looking to get over to the Brewers game, do it. If you're looking to go up to a Packers game, preseason, whatever it happens to be, they run shuttles. And also in the Bucks and the Marquette Golden Eagles and the Admirals and such are playing downtown, they run shuttles there as well. Otherwise, Summerfest too. Don't forget, a lot of the events downtown, they run shuttles to that as well. Coming up tomorrow night, Styx and REO and Loverboy and everybody in town, big concert. So I'll be running shuttles to that as well. Stop at Stenny's, Second and National, Walker's Point. Tell them we said hi. More of the Bill Michaels Show next.
Ready? This is the Bill Michaels Show on the Wisconsin Sports Zone Radio Network.
Bill Michaels will resume in 3 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 2 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 1 minute. Bill Michaels will resume in 30 seconds.
We continue live out here at the Ironwood Golf Course. We're in Sussex, Wisconsin. Getting ready for a little bit later on this afternoon. We've got the first Tobacco Outlet Plus Grocery cigar outing / dinner coming up tonight. And the golfers hit the course about 2 o'clock. And then after that, there's a dinner, a little bit of a Q&A. We're going to have a good time. Cigar presentation. And even if you don't smoke cigars, these events are fantastic. They're a lot of fun. Come in and you get your cigars, give them as a gift to somebody, because God knows there's more than $50-$60 worth of cigars in the packs. So if you don't, even if you don't smoke cigars, it's a lot of fun. We have a great time. Tell some really fun stories and such. Kind of ask away, ask the questions you want, and good to go. This portion of the program also brought to you by our friends over there at the Water Doctors, John Atley and the gang. Good people. And they do a lot for veterans as well. They do the Custom Canine Service Dog Academy. So if you're looking for a great water softening system, call them. If you're looking for a great donation, all you got to do is go to h2theletterO.doctors.com. h2theletterO.doctors.com. That's the Water Doctors. You can call them 262-549-7733. 262-549-7733. They are in Waukesha, but they do services all over. So give them a shout again. Just give them a buzz. 262-549-7733. Let's get back to the phone call, shall we? Let's go to Tyler listening to us in New York. Tyler, how you doing, man? What's going on?
Hey, Bill, how's it going?
Doing good today. What's up?
So I'm not from Wisconsin. I live in New York, but I follow the NL Central pretty closely, and from what I've noticed, obviously the Brewers have got some injuries, and that's a factor. So when you have injuries, because every team's going to have injuries, it's just sports, but they don't have any depth. There's no exciting Brewers prospect coming up, or there's no one to fill the gaps in when you have injuries.
No, I agree. And that's what I was saying before, is you can look at it as a complete negative 100% to where they are and what we've witnessed especially over the last couple of weeks. But the fact is they had an 18-game stretch in which they went 9-9. They're banged up terribly. 2/3 or 2/5 of their starting rotation is down right now. And they were still able to come out 500. They still have they still have a slight hold on the National League Central. I think things are good. As bad as people want to make it out to be. And there are certain guys like Lorenzo Cain and Christian Yelich who aren't even pulling their weight on this team. That's true. But this team, through pitching and such, has been able to get it done. I'm not preaching any gloom and doom by any stretch. I think they're going to make a deal at some point for a bat. But I think right now you just kind of stay steadfast and see who produces, who doesn't, and get a good idea, get some experience, get a good idea as you make a stretch run.
Yeah, I was just going to say, there's always going to be injuries, because there's Cardinals. The Cardinals, they have rookies that have got more home runs than Christian Yelich, and you're paying that guy a lot of money, and at this point he's making about $8 million every home run.
Yep. He's not giving you what you paid for. There's no doubt about that. I 100% agree. From when he signed that contract to where he is today.
Small market team like Milwaukee, you can't have a guy making that much money and he's batting just above the Mendoza line.
Right. Yep. No, I agree, man. I appreciate the phone call, Tyler. Thanks for listening to us in New York, too. I really appreciate that. Thank you so much. He's right. And going back to what one of the people that over on Twitter had stated before is that Mark Antanasio is cheap and he's not going to spend the money. And he actually has spent money. He does want to win. I think you have to do it within certain budget constraints. I don't think you can keep up in the arms race with the Yankees and the Dodgers. I don't think you can go $250 million. I don't think you can do over 130, 140 without saying, hey, we're definitely going to. Nobody says, hey, let's go into the red. What's 10 million, 15, 20 million, 30 million among friends? No big deal. Nobody wants to lose that kind of money. So there's certain restraints in which you work. If you're close, are you willing to lose a little bit of money if you think you're going to win a championship? Sure. I could see Mark Attanasio doing that. But I don't think you get to be a decent business person by saying every year, yeah, we'll go ahead and lose money. Because eventually that money's got to come back. Now, if you win a championship, you're going to see that come back in marketability for the next couple of years. You're going to see that happen. And that is a bankable number. You know, you're going to Packers see it whenever they've won a championship the next couple of years, it goes through the roof. A little bit different, but you get my point. But yeah, you are willing to do that or break even if it means a championship. But for people that say they're cheap, they don't have that ability year in and year out to just continually go out and spend money and just say, okay, we're going to keep up with everybody else. You got to be wise. You got to have a good farm system. You've got to have good trades that work out. The signings that you make, that's spending money. You know, you forget about the arbitration and such. And I've been one that's been saying all along, you can say and tell me over and over again, this is the most money we've ever spent as a franchise. But in the grand scheme of things, where is it in perspective to the talent level that you have versus the talent level that others have that are spending more money? Because that's like saying, well, I have the fastest car I've ever had, but you're still racing a Ford Pinto against a bunch of Corvettes. It still doesn't matter. That's a very deceiving way of saying, you know, well, we're not going to spend any more money, or we don't have the same level of talent that other teams do. It's a fact. That's the most money you've ever spent in franchise history. That's a fact. But if the Yankees are doubling you up and the Dodgers are doubling you up and the Cardinals are spending $200 million and you're spending $130, who cares? They're out buying you. They're buying more talent. That's what they're doing. So on one hand, I get what you're saying, but on the other hand, it's not like they don't want to win, and it's not like they're trying to be not to be competitive. They went out and spent the money. They gave they gave the biggest contract in franchise history to Christian Yelich. And said, here you go, man. This guy's all of that. We're going to give him a contract. We're going to pay the man what he's worth. What? You want to give us a little bit of a discount? Great. Let's do this. Let's get it out there. It's not their fault. Christian Yelich has absolutely sucked ever since he put his name on the paper. That's not their fault. 1 hour yet to go. We're not done. By any stretch of the imagination. We are broadcasting live. We're out here at Ironwood Golf Course. We're in Sussex, Wisconsin. Great place. Love this place. Say thanks to our friends at Burn Pit Barbecue. Go to burnpitbbq.com. That is burnpitbbq.com. If you want great sauces, great rubs, hot sauces. Oh, they got some good hot sauce. Ooh, boy. Good stuff. Another hour. We'll be back right after this.
This is a Wisconsin Sports Zone update.
Well, the Brewers closed out a stretch of 18 games in 17 days yesterday with a 6-4 loss to San Diego in extra innings. Trevor Gott gave up the 3-run homer in the top of the 10th to essentially give the game to the Padres. Milwaukee limped to the end of that extended stretch of games, losing 5 of their last 6. The offense, especially an issue in those losses, got shut out twice, managed to score more than 4 runs just once. But manager Craig Counsell wasn't ready to blame the lack of time off for their struggles.
No, I mean, I think you're going to go through stretches this season where you just got some guys that aren't swinging the bat well. We got some guys banged up, and that's kind of changed who's been playing a little bit. But it doesn't, everybody's got a 162 game schedule with no off days and all that stuff. So It's not an excuse.
Milwaukee should be getting an infusion of talent back in the lineup when they open a series tomorrow against Philadelphia. There should be no setbacks. Shortstop Willie Adames and outfielder Hunter Renfroe are expected to be activated from the injured list.
Your work-life balance is important to you, and Sutton Transport agrees. Sutton Transport offers a 5-day work week, same start times daily, and you'll be home nightly and on weekends. Sutton Transport is now hiring CDL drivers and forklift operators for all shifts. Enjoy some of the best benefits in the industry, consistent year-round work, twice-a-year wage increases, and enjoy your family time you deserve. That is work-life balance. The road to success is with Sutton Transport. Apply at suttontrans.com.
Well, Packers quarterback Aaron Rodgers reported for the team's mandatory minicamp today as expected. The four-time MVP has stayed away from the last 2 weeks of voluntary OTAs, but was there for his mandatory physical this morning. Green Bay going to be on the field for the first of 3 days of practice tomorrow. That practice and Wednesdays are open to the public. Things get going at 11:20. And 2 former Badgers on the ballot for the College Football Hall of Fame, quarterback Troy Vincent, and AD and former offensive lineman Chris McIntosh. With this Wisconsin Sports Zone Network update, I'm Zach Heil.
Final hour of the Bill Michaels Show. Glad you're here. Broadcasting live, Ironwood Golf Course. We're in Sussex, Wisconsin, which if you look out over the grandeur that it is as we sit up here in the upper clubhouse area, a few clouds in the air, but the puddles and such have pretty much dried up, which is great. And we're getting ready to hit the course just a little bit after 2 o'clock, so 2 o'clock Central Time. So good stuff out there, and thanks to Mike Lehman and his staff out here, man. They did a fantastic job getting this place together. Let's do this. Let's go to our good buddy Kevin Holden from CBS 58, who is joining us on the hotline. Kevin, how you been, buddy?
All good, Bill. We back in the booth yesterday, and it's terrible that this is such a great thing, but post-pandemic, some of these old conveniences are coming back. We had a buffet and we had ice cream at American Family Field in the media booth.
Shut your ass. Really?
Yup, it's back. And so expect the 20-pound weight gain. Drew is the unhappiest man on the planet right now, Drew Burgoyne.
Nice. Got the ice cream back. Well, if you got the ice cream back, then pretty much the world is back to where it should be and all is right. So except for the fact that the Brewers have lost 3 straight. They limped into the off day. And Kevin, we've got Lorenzo Cain, who says he just doesn't have answers. And you've got Christian Yelich, who is O Fer June. What does this team need to do? I mean, they're going to get healthy. I'm not jumping off any cliff by any stretch of the imagination. Going to get Adames back and Hunter Renfroe back, and they're going to start getting healthy again. Hopefully, you get Woodruff back sooner rather than later. I'm not panicking yet. Are you?
No, not at all. And this year, there's a couple of reasons to feel like there's a little more room, in terms of this team's long-term success this year. One is the fact that the Central is as bad as it is, and there's an extra wild card team. I mean, there are several reasons to give the Brewers a little extra margin for error. They do have to figure it out, though, at the plate. Long term, that's got to be a solution. And it's interesting because obviously Yelich has struggled, and that's been pretty much most of the year. But beyond that, the troubles have been finding good right-handed hitters. Andrew McCutchen, who had the one-hit Thursday and was 0 for however long before that, was the cleanup batter on Sunday. And Craig Counsell's been holding true to this lineup that goes left, right, left, right. Yesterday, I'm looking at that lineup, and, you've got Hira in the 6th spot. You've got McCutchen in the 4th spot. You've got Tyrone Taylor in the 2 spot. And I think there may come a time with a couple of these lineups where if your righties continue to struggle, maybe you abandon your left-right idea for a while and just go with your best bats in the middle of the order, at least until you get, the guys like Adames and Renfroe back. You may have to play around with it a little bit to make this thing work, at least in the short term.
So at what point, if any, and I know the analytics tell you that Christian Yelich is hitting the ball hard. He's in the upper quarter of people that have exit velocity, and he's hitting it right at somebody. So I know the old adage in baseball is hit it where they ain't, and eventually it'll start to fall, but they're not. and he's over 130 at bats. What do you move him down? I mean, I know there's this whole thought of paying this guy this amount of money and being a veteran, and you can't move him down. It'll hurt his feelings and it'll dislodge the clubhouse. But at what point do you say we got to do what's best for the team?
Yeah, there's going to have to come a point. It's maybe not right now, because I think Counsell is still trying to build the team, I'd say, quote, properly, with the idea that his best players, his star players, are in the middle of everything. But Yelich has not been one of his best hitters despite the analytics. At some point it does have to change. I think the counter argument that you should have someone to bat in that spot, if you move Yelich, that's a valid counter argument. It's a whole team of guys that, yesterday we were talking about this in clutch situations. It seemed like whoever was at the plate was hitting 220 with 5 homers. Jace Peterson, 220, 5 homers. Yelich, 220, 5 homers. So if they're all equal, then I don't think you move Yelich at all. But if you get somebody that gets super hot in the next month or two, that may be the time to insert that person in the 3 spot and give Yelich a little break out of that spot of the order. The one thing that strikes me with Yelich is the balls are hit hard, but the Yelich that was an MVP would hit those balls as line drives to the opposite field that would land in the bullpen. This time it's hard grounders to second base. And so there's such a thing as, it's hard contact, but it's hard contact on the ground and not line drives into the air. And that I think is where he's got to make the adjustment in the next, month or two, try to get below it a little bit and hit those balls up a little more.
Yeah, they've talked about his launch angle for a while now. And I know that his, powerless streak started when he ended up getting a kneecap injury. And I was saying at the beginning of the show today, Kevin, there was always the underlying rumors. It's subterranean of, well, he was one of those guys benefiting from stealing signs and such. And it came up again this morning. It came up again over the weekend. I don't have it used to be, show me the evidence and then I'll believe you. Now they can't show you the evidence, but I can't show you the evidence to say Christian Yelich is just fine ever since that investigation went down. I can't tell you that he did or didn't. I don't know. I don't know if it was the kneecap. Something has been off ever since the kneecap and ever since that investigation happened.
No, it's probably anecdotal evidence to say it that way, but at the same time, there's nothing to attach, but nothing to not attach. Those whose minds like to wander might wander in that category. I don't know if I necessarily believe it, because I don't think that signs are the difference between 340 homers versus 220 and 5 homers.
Mm-hmm.
I think you can get signs you want and won't hit 300 with 40 homers with this Yelich right now. I think it's physical, and I think, again, I'm no doctor, but having experienced injuries, serious lower body injuries, there's a bunch of stuff that changes. Like when this happened with his kneecap, as much as he wants to be the old him, that spring mechanism, that timing mechanism to the ball could be different mentally. And the fraction of a second is the difference between a hit and an out in this league. So that to me, if it's anything, it's 80% of it is just getting the proper, timing mechanism and driving through the ball the way he used to.
Talking with Kevin Holden, CBS 58 in Milwaukee, at 321Q Kevin over there on Twitter. Craig Counsell's team needed this break today. I don't know necessarily that they were looking over the fence saying, okay, let's bag this one because we just want to get to Monday. But this off day certainly comes at a good time. But I'll say this, Kevin, and I said it earlier, going 9-9 in the 18-game stretch, 18 games, 17 days, as banged up as they are, that's the reason I can anecdotally say I have more optimism in this team than I do pessimism at this point. Give me your thoughts.
Yeah, you look at tough road trips during the season and tough stretches during the season, and if the team survives it and goes through it, then you feel pretty good about it. And they went to San Diego, who's a good team. They went to St. Louis, who's a good team. They went to Chicago, not such a good team, but a team that can give the Brewers trouble. And they held their own on that road trip, and then came back, and the offense is in a funk. But it's 9-9 is way different than say 5-13. Like 5-13 is when you start to really panic. But 9-9 with a bunch of guys out who should be coming back soon. That's not bad. I mean, that Sunday game, that game yesterday. Again, because we did this on Telemundo, I got to dig down a little bit. I'm writing down the lineup. and there are three guys on the bench for the Brewers yesterday. Urias, who's got a hurt hand and wasn't going to play. Lorenzo Kane, who is just in a full breakdown. God love him. He's one of my favorite Brewers in a long time, but it's not there. It's not there right now. And Alex Jackson, who's a catcher who's with the team because of a COVID case. Those are your three bench bats. And that's not going to be the case for 162 games, but it is a recipe to struggle if you've got an offense that's already struggling.
So here's what I expect. You've got a team in Philadelphia that's coming to town. They're under 500. And after that, you go on the road for three cities. Washington, obviously a team that's in the basement in the East. You've then got the Mets. That's a tough road trip right there to go into New York, a team that's leading the East and leading all of National League in wins. That'll be a tough one. Then Cincinnati. In Cincinnati, a place where you hit traditionally well. And the last time they were there, that was when Christian Yelich actually produced. Then you come back home for St. Louis, and then you come back home for the interleague series with Toronto. And we know Toronto's also vying for these. So it's not easy, but at least over the next 6 games, you've got what you would consider to be room to kind of get your feet churning so you get running before you ultimately face a very tough New York Mets team and then get into the St. Louis and Toronto and Tampa Bay and Pittsburgh before the end of the month. It's not easy, but you've got some opportunity here to kind of get back on the right track, right?
That's the truth. And honestly, baseball is one of those things, man. It all starts with one, right? You're talking about a hitter in a good streak. It starts with one line drive, one good at bat, and the confidence starts to come. And for the Brewers, the most important day might be today, the off day. I mean, they can take a mental break. They can get in the cage. They can work on things. I would love it. I think if you're the Brewers and you could choose to face the Phillies at any point, a week ago might have been better when Girardi was still the manager and they were in a tailspin because with this new skipper, the promotion from within, they played pretty well over the weekend. But that's still a beatable team. And then you go from there on the road and have a chance to build something. But if you string together a win or two against Philly, that starts the momentum train going again. And there's so much talent. The other thing about it that's different from so many other years is you can point to 8 things that are going wrong with this Brewers team, and yet there they are at the top of the NL Central in June. So if half of those things start going right, I mean, this team's, a division winner and one of the top seeds in the National League still. So I don't see anything so far that's taken me off of that point. I mean, if you get a good Yelich, you get a World Series contender. Otherwise, you still got a team that's going to make a run.
Real quick before I let you go, we're hoping to get Willy Adames back coming up the next series or in the weekend. So the question is, and I know a lot of people are excited about that, Willy Adames, the energy guy, here we go. But the bottom line is, even though he's got 9 home runs and some big ones, he's still hitting .208. So, and he's got a 766 OPS because of the power numbers. I get that. But I don't think it's just because Willy Adames comes walking through that door. Now, Hunter Renfroe obviously has a much better average, and he's also giving you some power numbers. So there's some excitement there, 18 home runs between the two. But you get both of them back. I don't think Adames necessarily is your energy guy. He's your fun guy, but you're going to need the more productivity to go along with it, aren't you?
You absolutely are, yeah. And this may be the thing that helps a couple of other guys snap out. It's just the more quality bats you can put in your lineup, the better it is for the other guys. In other words, the guy in Washington who hits in front of Juan Soto, the guy in San Diego who hits in front of Machado, that was Jake Cronenworth, by the way, the guy that hit the 3-run homer in the 10th inning. Those guys get good pitches because pitchers don't want to walk them to face the better players. So if Renfroe's in a hot streak and he's 4th, Yelich might see even better pitches as the 3, or Adames might see better pitches as the 2 because Yelich is batting 3rd if he starts getting hot. It's a domino effect. So even if Adames returns in his energy and fun and whatever, if you get 3 or 4 bats heated up, there's a reason it's contagious. It's because pitchers start adjusting and facing other batters with different pitches, and that's what gets a whole lineup going. And again, it just starts with one, and I don't care who it is. If it's Adames, if it's Renfroe, if it's Pablo Reyes, find a way, man. Just get me somebody, and then it should work from there.
Get a few base hits, no doubt. Good stuff, buddy. We'll talk to you soon, okay?
Thanks, Bill. Appreciate it.
All right, pal. There you go. Kevin Holden, CBS 58, joining us for a couple of minutes on the hotline. And at 321-Q-Kevin, 321-Q-Kevin. You can find him over there on Twitter and track him down. And Ryan, you're right. Nobody right now is afraid of anybody in this Brewers lineup. You don't want to make a bad pitch to Adames or Hunter Renfroe. I mean, where you're going to leave it out over the plate and they're going to park it because they can't give you power numbers. But as far as guys hitting consistently, no, I 100% agree with you, man. No doubt about it. 877-867-1670. This portion of the program brought to you by our good friends at Growth Law Firm, who is a big part of our motorcycle ride this year. And by the way, if you are following over on the Bud Light live stream, you can see and get signed up if you choose to do so. See the flyer for the motorcycle ride. And in addition to that, you can also just scan the QR code. That'll take you right to the registration page. This promises to be our biggest and best yet. So many great details. Please follow the ride and all the details. Go to facebook.com/bigunitpokerrun, and we will give you all the details coming up here later this week for sure. Promise you, because it's going to be great. And it's a whole laundry list of great things that are coming up. Thanks to our friends at Growth Law Firm. Thanks to the Rock Complex, Alpine Valley, Knucklehead as well. Thanks to Potawatomi Hotel Casino. They're supplying our dealers, our volunteers at the end. And they've been a great, great supporter of veterans. They came to us and wanted to be a part of this. So thanks to Potawatomi Hotel Casino. And also a new one that came on board, a Great Lakes Dragaway. Great Lakes Dragaway. You want to race your car and get a bunch of friends together, head down there in the quarter-mile track. There you have it. Great Lakes Dragaway right in Union Grove, Wisconsin. Go to greatlakesdragaway.com. That's greatlakesdragaway.com and see all that they have to offer, not to mention our great friends from Wisconsin, Harley-Davidson, who had a beautiful weekend of rides out there, and coming up a couple of weekends from now, they have another one, and our friends at Bud Light as well. Stay tuned. We are going to talk some Packers. Mike Clemens, our guy on the ground, he's going to join us coming up next.
This is the Bill Michaels Show on the Wisconsin Sports Zone Radio Network.
They're racing and you don't want to miss it. June 9th through the 12th, it's the NTT IndyCar Series Satio Grand Prix presented by AMR. For tickets, go to roadamerica.com.
Bill Michaels will resume in 3 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 2 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 1 minute. Bill Michaels will resume in 30 seconds.
Welcome back. Bill Michaels Show. We continue on. Glad you are with us today. As we always are glad you're here. Our friends at the Four Seasons Island Resort want to remind you that if you decide to go up there, which is a great place on the island, if you're going to head up, and make sure you go to their website or you call Barb or you call the front desk and you say Bill Michaels 15. Bill Michaels 15. They will give you a discount. Bill Michaels 15. They will give you a discount. Fantastic. They got room rates. They got group rates. They got corporate stuff going on. But make sure you use Bill Michaels 15 and you will get yourself a discount. I promise you a great discount. Bill Michaels 15. Again, for the Four Seasons Wisconsin.com. The4seasonswisconsin.com. But use the promo code Bill Michaels 15 and get it. That's the way to go. Let's bring him in now. Our good buddy Mike Clemens is joining us on the hotline, and we get ready for the mandatory mini camp. As we're expecting Aaron Rodgers to be there. And Michael, how you been, buddy?
Good. There is a report today that Aaron did report today. To me, it's news if he didn't report. I expected him to be there.
Mm-hmm.
I've tried to think of an analogy in the last week because when I'm standing out here at these OTAs, and you see Aaron Jones out there taking all these snaps. You see A.J. Dillon out there taking snaps. You see other veterans, Adrian Amos, the safety on the other side, out there taking these snaps. Where is Alan Lazard? I mean, this guy, and we still haven't heard if he signed his tender, but he did go on a national interview and say he's looking forward to coming back to Green Bay. And as for Aaron Rodgers, so the only thing I could think of is this. If you're in high school and you're coming back for your senior year, and you got a 3.5, 3.6 grade point average, and just before finals at the end of your junior year, your teachers say, hey, listen, we're going to have some free seminars this summer to give you a little preview of what you're going to have in the fall of your senior year, just in case, you want to get ahead. Are you really going into school for that? If you're not getting credits, it's not really required, how much are you going to do that? So right. I guess to some of these players, like a Sammy Watkins, who we haven't met yet, he came in earlier to sign his paperwork and was here for one day, the day that Rodgers was here. We're going to want to get to know him. And what was his story? He got off to a good start with the Ravens. Then his numbers dropped off. Then he got injured in October, and he ended up having the worst season of his 8-year career last year in Baltimore. Where's his head at? So we'll be talking about that. And then we need to talk about tight end. I've talked to you about that situation because you see Robert Tonyan on the sidelines with David Bakhtiari as those guys are coming back from their torn ACLs. But, you know that Tonyan's not going to be a pass-catching tight end for you for the opener against the Vikings. You probably really missed him in that playoff game against the 49ers. So, Mercedes Lewis is coming back again, mostly a blocking tight end and a veteran. So you've got Josiah DeGora coming back now into his third season. And then this Tyler Davis that they picked up from the Colts. And there's other guys like, Dominic Daphne. So this was a clip that Gutekunst told us, which basically what he saw in his depth chart heading into camp this summer.
I'm pretty excited about it. Obviously, Josiah kind of was coming off an injury and really towards the end of the season kind of came on, and we're excited about where he's headed. TD, Tyler Davis, we picked up early in the year and has his opportunities grew not only in the games but in practice. I think we might have something there. So I'm excited about that to add to the big dog. And then whenever Bobby's ready, we kind of know what we have there. So I like the group, but and we wouldn't have not addressed it if it came to us in the draft, but it just didn't fall that way.
Okay. I mean, I get it. No doubt. I guess, Mike, what I'm kind of thinking about here is when you talk about the wide receivers and Sammy Watkins and same page and the young guys and Christian Watson and all that stuff. To me, it's all about getting on the same page. And then I get questioned every day, I'm sure you do too, about whether or not they're going to bring in another veteran wide receiver, who's going to be available. I don't know. I mean, I think they're going to go into the season with what they have. Maybe they make a move along the way, but it's going to be imperative upon the guys that are there to get up to speed, get on the same page, and get with Aaron Rodgers and make this thing go.
I've only been around Sammy Watkins once, and that's the Super Bowl that you and I covered in Miami when the Chiefs beat the 49ers, and it was, post game. And, he's nice, approachable, positive attitude guy, but, he's not a big talker. So we'll just get a little bit sense of what his football IQ is at this point in his career. How hungry is this, even though he decided to skip the OTAs, or at least the ones that we've been allowed to see. And, how much of the speed is still there. And we talked to Jason Vrabel, the wide receivers coach. By the way, Jason Vrabel's assistant at wide receiver for the last couple of years under a fellowship was Ravel Martin. Remember the old Packers receiver?
Right.
And I've been looking at these OTAs, and I couldn't see Ravel because I was really close to him as a player. He was really fun to be around. He was good friends with Rodgers. And I asked around, and it's like, you know what? Ravel came back for 2 years under the fellowship, so you get kind of paid minimum. And I think he saw what The Rock was cooking, with the Rodgers situation, Devontae leaving, and he's going back into real estate in North Carolina. So he's not there with the coaching staff. Yeah, I thought that was interesting. But you asked the wide receiver coach, Jason Vrabel, who was with the Bills when they drafted Sammy Watkins, on what's it like to bring in Watkins now at this point of his career.
What's funny is, he's been a free agent a couple of times now. So I've wrote up Sammy for the reports, with Goody and those guys, and told him, I'm like, I've been with Sammy. I know how he can catch. I know how strong he is. A lot of the good things he can do, so I was with him for that time. But that day, no, I didn't. It was literally within like 36 hours. Right. Where then they talked to me and they're like, they were like, Braves, that you've been with him, and they knew that I liked him before because they saw my write-ups on him in free agency. And they said he's coming in for dinner. So I called him right away and I said, hey, you didn't even call me. He's like, no, it just got booked right now. So we went out to dinner, we broke some bread. We got to talk, catch up, hear about his 3 kids and, just good old times, just see where he's been, and his maturity has just been exceptional. He was just a young rookie before, and now he's a grown man with a family and just living life the right way, and trying to do as much as he can to get back and get another Lombardi, which he's one of the few guys that has held one up, that I've been around. So that's kind of his goal. And like I said, Sammy's just smiling. He's happy to be in a building, where he feels a good fit right now. So I did not know, but I'm fired up. He's here.
Mike, I'm glad Sammy Watkins is looking at it as another chance to, kind of gain prominence and such, and kind of resuscitate his career, if you will. The guy, it was kind of surprising, though, to find out that Davante Adams wanted out, and it wasn't just this particular offseason that he wanted out,
Yeah, and I know you talked about this on the show last week, to saying, hey, there's word now that Davante Adams was close to getting traded from the Packers. He wanted out of Green Bay as much as 2 years ago. And then you start thinking, well, is that because maybe when LaFleur was coming in, or they drafted Jordan Love, that he smelled rebuild and he wanted to get out of town? And I always knew that Davante Adams and Aaron Rodgers weren't best friends. They were great teammates together. And you think of all those numbers that Rodgers, packed on for Davante to help him get his contract, and Rodgers' own numbers himself. They helped each other get paid last year. But it just seems like, I wonder how surprised Rodgers was that Davante left the Packers to go back to his old buddy, Derek Carr, who they went to Fresno State with. And so David Carr, the older brother who used to play for the Texans, analyst for the NFL Network, he explained that Davante Adams has been trying to get to the Raiders much longer than that.
It's been something that they've tried to make happen for 5 years now, since Davante signed his contract extension several years ago with the Packers. Derek was pushing to get him there, and Davante was really close, man. I mean, that a couple years ago, they were really close to making that happen. And so for it to actually happen, I remember I was actually sitting on set at the NFL Network when it went through with James Jones, and James was obviously sad because he's a Packer.
Right.
But he, it was almost surreal because, like you said, it never really happens that you absolutely get to pull off something like this.
So why does your brother and Davante Adams vibe so well, do you think?
I think that from the moment that they got together in Fresno, it was a unique situation because Davante came to Fresno and visited there and basically signed with Fresno State because of Derek. And so from the moment that they met on his recruiting trip, they hit it off. They just have a unique bond and they're best friends. And Davante, even before they made the move to Vegas, first of all, in the Bay Area, he bought a house right next to Derek. They worked out in the off season. They trained together. Even when Davante was in Green Bay, same thing. Derek moves to Vegas. Davante moves to Vegas. This was about a month before the whole thing went down where he joined up. So they've just had a unique bond. But then there's like this different levels that these guys have always had. And I asked Derek after their first workout, as official teammates again in Las Vegas. He's driving back home, and they're both in the car together. They FaceTimed, and so I said, "How'd it go?" And Derek's like, "Every ball is 6 inches in front of his chest. Every receiver that Derek has ever talked to me about, he's compared to Davante Adams."
So they've been wanting to play together for quite some time, and Carr obviously has an incredible respect for Davante Adams. And meanwhile, when you talk about quarterbacks and placing the ball right there where it's supposed to be, you've got Jordan Love. And the curious comment came from A.J. Dillon, Mike, last week, saying that, well, he's got a swagger back. And I'm like, whoa, wait a minute. What made him lose his swagger? And we can all assume that it was Kansas City or the getting a lot of the reps, as a starter from week 9 on and not playing well in the second half of that Detroit game. And maybe it knocked him down a little bit. But to hear somebody say that he got it back means that he lost it, right?
Well, or how much did it affect him in that loss when he finally got under the spotlight? When, Rodgers had tested positive for COVID. Now they got to change the game plan on Wednesday. They really didn't give Jordan Love the right kind of game. They pretty much stuck with Aaron Rodgers' game plan, rather maybe run the ball more, which really would have helped out Love. And I think LaFleur pretty much admitted that. But there's a divide in that locker room, Bill, between the Rodgers guys and then the guys under 25 that are just waiting for the new era, where they think things will be different. And this is what A.J. Dillon had to say about, do you think Jordan Love's confidence is back after taking one on the chin in prime time against the Chiefs?
I don't know about losing mojo. I just think it was more his first ever game. Yeah. Scary. I was bricks when I got out there for the first time. I was bricks the whole season, my rookie year. So, it's just part of the game. And so that's why I'm happy. Get those bad throws out now. Go build the confidence, figure out how to bounce back. And everybody's still working on, whether you're first game or your 10th year, everybody's working on how you can bounce back the quickest. And so that's part of being a pro, and I'm excited for him.
Interesting comment. Let's do this. We'll hear more from A.J. Dillon when we come back. Mike Clemens joining us on hold, our Green and Gold insider, and we got a lot more coming up. Stay tuned. Broadcasting live at Ironwood Golf Course here in Sussex, Wisconsin. It is the Tobacco Outlet Plus Grocery and Quick Trip Cigar outing today, and it's our first cigar dinner of the night of the season. So we're going to be back. Coming up, a lot more right after this.
Covering Wisconsin sports like a blanket. This is the Bill Michaels Show on the Wisconsin Sports Zone Radio Network.
Bill Michaels will resume in 5 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 4 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 3 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 2 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 1 minute. Bill Michaels will resume in 30 seconds.
Welcome back to the program. We are glad you're with us. Hey, our friends at Boondocks Barbecue and Brew, they got a big ride coming up as well. It's in a couple of weeks, as a matter of fact. And they're going to be leaving Wisconsin Harley-Davidson. It's on Saturday the 18th. And they're also riding for what they call the Outdoor Heroes, our friends from the military and such. And they're asking you to come along. It's going to start at Wisconsin Harley-Davidson. They've got a great ride plan. Then after the fact, Breaking Cadence, the band is going to play over at Boondocks. They've got a big barbecue dinner and such planned. But all the funds are going to be raised in honor of our veterans. So if you can make it, it's coming up on Saturday the 18th. All the details, go to Boondocks Barbecue and Brews. And you can find all the information there. Just look for Boondocks over on Facebook, and you can see the post about it. But really, really good stuff, and help Tom and everybody out there support our veterans the way they should be. Mike Clemens joining us on the line, and so Mike, we heard from A.J. Dillon.
By the way, nice job. Hey, by the way, nice job on the weekend on the ride that you and your listeners did for all my friends, the kids with autism, and for the veterans. What was that, Hogs for Heroes or something?
Yeah.
I mowed the lawn and watched football. That's all I got done this week.
Yeah, but that's
all I got.
That's huge because you're the man when it comes to that stuff for us. And so the next question, we heard A.J. Dillon talk about the mojo or lack thereof of Jordan Love. Now he starts discussing special teams, another area of sore contention after last season.
So you see the new special teams coach out there during these OTAs, Rich Bisaccia, the guy that they picked up from the Raiders, who Mike Mayock, the former GM out in Vegas, says, if I was still GM, Rich would have been my head coach to replace Gruden. He'd still be a head coach. And he's out there with tennis balls, throwing tennis balls at guys for quick reaction. And when he came into his first press conference in Green Bay a few weeks ago, one of the reporters just kind of teased him with him like, oh, hey, coach, I'm sorry I forgot to bring tennis balls to the press conference. And he said, is that a question? He's a serious dude. He's a serious dude. And Aaron Jones is out there like returning kicks. I mean, they're looking at everybody. So now here's a question, though. It gets to the age-old question, do you put starters on special teams? Because in that playoff loss to the 49ers, you had A.J. Dillon line up there on the kick team. He fractured a rib and couldn't play, in the crunch time in the fourth quarter to carry the ball for you. So A.J. Dillon was asked the other day, you suffered that broken rib on the kick return versus the 49ers. How does that make you feel about the team using starters on special teams?
Hey, it's football. You can get hurt doing anything, and I see people not playing football getting hurt walking in the mailbox. So that's just life. That's just the way it goes. But like I've always said, I'm capable and willing to do anything to help the team win. So if it's special teams that they want me to kick, I can throw. That's one thing I won't be doing. But, whatever they need me to do, I'm ready, able to do it. And that's, what we have here. We got a lot of guys that are capable and good teammates and willing to work.
Well, Mike, they spent money on a special teams coach, so they're going to do anything and everything they can to provide him with enough personnel to be able to play the way he wants to play. So I expect special teams just merely from osmosis to get better, just because scheme will be better. So Bisaccia is going to be, even though all eyes are upon that unit, he's the way he acts, the way he works, the way he, manipulates guys, uses guys, things like that. That's all going to come into play. And we're going to have a big kind of a microscope on him.
Yeah, and when LaFleur replaced McCarthy and was hiring a new staff, he wanted a higher caliber, a more experienced special teams coordinator. And the sense you got was that Mark Murphy, Russ Ball, they weren't giving him the budget to work with to get the top picks. Or they couldn't lure guys away from markets like the New Orleans Saints or Cowboys or, other teams in the league. So now when you have plays like, Aaron Jones getting wide open down the right-hand side of the field and like a 75-yard gain against the 49ers, and then the drive stops because Mason Crosby gets his field goal attempt blocked by the 49ers, or the godforsaken block punt that they scored a touchdown on. You bring in Rich Bisaccia, who, when you talk to his players with the Raiders, they describe him as kind of a tough love coach. So we asked the new special teams coordinator, Rich Bisaccia, how does he describe himself?
The people describe me in a lot of ways, but you haven't talked to my kids yet. So when I get on the field, they got a jersey number on. They're accountable to the guy next to them. They're accountable to their job. When they come in my office, and then they got a name. Now we can talk about football. We can talk about anything you want to talk about. But when they get on the field, they have a job to do, and they're accountable to the guy next to them, in front of them, behind them, and so on. And in our one-play mentality, you can look around, and there's a lot of plays that devastate your game. There's a lot of plays that propel your offense or your defense in the game. So I think once we can all understand the one-play mentality, what we're trying to get across to them, how they can affect the game positively and negatively, I think maybe we'll start to accomplish something here.
Well, they've got a new punter who's going to affect the game on a couple of different plays, obviously punting the football, but then also as the new holder through the process for Mason Crosby. And Bojorquez obviously had trouble getting the laces straight. So, and he wasn't as consistent as they like him to be. So they removed him. And now you got a new guy doing all of those, Mike.
Right. You drafted J.K. Scott, had a hell of a leg come on out of Alabama, then got to be inconsistent. At times was frankly just kind of flaky. You know, and then the one time where he couldn't show up when they needed him in a hot preseason game up in Buffalo against the Bills because he had leg cramps. I mean, he wasn't ready. He wasn't warmed up. So then they replace him in the season with Corey Bojorquez, who's got just a rocket for a leg, a cannon, a left-footed kicker, but started to trail off in December and just never quite got in sync with Mason Crosby, apparently, as a holder. Now, J.K. Scott went to the Jaguars, and at last I saw he got signed by the Chargers, so he's competing for a job there. Bojorquez got picked up by the Browns. Instead, Green Bay went with Pat O'Donnell, veteran, 31 years old, spent the last 5-6 years with the Bears, so it's a guy that they saw a lot, and he just seems to be more mature, more heady. And so we asked him about his role as a punter, as a placeholder, and why he came to Green Bay. This is Pat O'Donnell, the new punter.
I think it's just managing the game, right? Just squeezing out the 40, 45, maybe hit the 50 when you can. Sometimes you're going into the win, sometimes you're going with it. But I think it's all about managing it. I take a lot of pride in holding just like I do punting, and that's half of it for me. Being on the field, holding for field goals, and we got to put points on the board. So I've been fortunate to have a lot of good kickers that I've worked with in the past, and having a veteran like Mason, I think we're going to hit the ground running. And I think it's important to like me to be the caddy. You know, we kind of bounce ideas off each other, how the wind's playing, how he likes the ball held and leaned. Yeah, I had some of those opportunities in free agency, but I mean, when a franchise like this comes calling, you definitely want to play for an organization that has such a rich history here. And playing for Bisaccia, that was a huge component. And also playing with Mason Crosby, I've also obviously had a lot of games with him that I've admired him from afar, and just to see what he's done for so long, like having an opportunity to play with him was a huge factor.
Well, Mason, first of all, has got to be happy where he's got somebody that at least seemingly is a little bit more dependable, Mike, by the time this thing's all said and done. I mean, obviously, after the year he had, he never came out and pointed fingers, but there were times we could clearly see replay-wise that Bojorquez just never got it right. So he's just looking for a guy to come in and just do it right.
Right. And Mason, they've got one other kicker. They released this J.J. Molson, who kind of competed for Mason, was ready if needed, if Mason got ready from the practice squad. So Mason comes into this year. He turns 38 in September. You know, Goodikins pretty much came right out and said, we think that this is still a Super Bowl team, and we're not going to change kickers now. So that's why pretty much the spirit of Mason Crosby's here. Then you talk to Mason Crosby in the exit interviews, and he's like, look, the hold is not consistent. And when they find out Rich Bisaccia is coming in, Bisaccia, by the way, he's been in contact with Pat O'Donnell over the years. He's wanted Pat O'Donnell as well. So now you get these three guys together. Pat O'Donnell's your punter, your holder. Bisaccia's your special teams coordinator who can block up this thing and protect Mason. Mason is so happy that when O'Donnell came to Green Bay, and it's hard finding a house right now. There's just,
right.
You know, it's a seller's market. He had Pat and his kids and wife sleep in the Mason Crosby basement until they could find a house. And so Crosby talked about what he likes about Pat O'Donnell over J.K. Scott or Corey Bojorquez.
Well, Pat's just a very detailed guy, and he works really hard. And also just speaking on him, just watching his craft and how he operates punting and holding is really awesome. So feel good with him. Obviously, like we were joking, having him live in my basement for a couple weeks and just getting to know him. I think relationally that really kind of got us off, on a good start where, we kind of learned each other's personalities and how we operate together. And, for me, relationship and all those things, are just as important as having it exactly right all the time, because we can talk and trust each other and make sure that it's right, whenever that time comes and we need it.
So, Mike, tomorrow it all gets real because we're going to find out who is and isn't there. And obviously Rodgers reporting, and that's not really big news other than the fact that it's just Aaron Rodgers. But what do we expect to find out through this mandatory minicamp, if anything?
Just, see where Aaron Rodgers' head is at. Get a feel for where Sammy Watkins, see that the Alan Lazard thing is locked up. and that they move forward with that. And Jair, we really haven't had a chance to talk to Jair Alexander. He had a couple, like 8 snaps in the games against the 49ers. And then it's the other guys just getting back into town. I mean, and Matt LaFleur and Joe Barry, they're getting back into town because Friday afternoon they got on a plane, not a private jet, a commercial plane from Green Bay to Detroit to LAX. They went to Sean McVay's wedding. McVay, the Rams head coach, I mean, what a year this guy's having. Just 35 years old, wins a Super Bowl, marries this beautiful model, Veronica Chrome, at the Beverly Hills Hotel. Remember, we drove past that in L.A. And McVay invited all of his old assistants. Half these guys are head coaches. Even Kevin O'Connell, the new head coach of the Vikings, is sitting there at a table eating dinner with LaFleur. And these guys are going to face each other in the opener. But, yeah, him and Joe Barry went to McVay's wedding over the weekend. The wedding cake was the Lombardi Trophy. How sweet
is that? Right? Wow.
Made to look just like a Lombardi Trophy. Yeah.
Nice. Well, I tell you what, it's going to be an interesting week, and at least it gives us something to kind of talk about a little bit. But let's just hope that everything comes positive out of this thing and we don't hear the negativity munch like we had last year with Aaron Rodgers and such. And hopefully things are just smooth and very quiet for the Green Bay Packers.
Less drama, more football.
There you go.
For it.
I'm all for it. Mike, great stuff. We'll look forward to talking to you throughout the week.
Thank you, Billy.
All right, buddy. Mike's presence is brought to you by our friends at the Bay Motel Green Bay. Bay Motel, quiet, cozy, comfortable, fantastic place to stay. Kind of one of those unsung type of places. And the Bay Family Restaurant, they got it going on too. Really, really fun place. Good food. And I'm telling you what, a lot of people over the years have eaten there. Chili and such. Chili's always spectacular. I know Mike likes it. Stop in. BayMotelGreenBay.com. That is BayMotelGreenBay.com. We will wrap it up from out here at Ironwood Golf Course in Sussex, Wisconsin. That is coming up next on the Bill Michaels Show.
Covering Wisconsin sports like a blanket. This is the Bill Michaels Show on the Wisconsin Sports Zone Radio Network.
Bill Michaels will resume in 3 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 2 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 1 minute. Bill Michaels will resume in 30 seconds.
Only a few minutes to go before we get out of here. I want to say thanks to our friends from Pindel, Pindel.com, Pindel.com. Great manufacturing and machining company right here in the state of Wisconsin. If you're looking for somebody to work with as a company, great people. If you're looking to work for and find yourself a career, not just a job, but a career, you can be trained and they can help you with your own business and such as well down the road. But Pindel, go to Pindel, Pindel.com. That is Pindel.com. We'll talk a little bit more about this tomorrow, but Pro Football Focus came out with all the analytics just a little while ago. And they said the true contenders for a Super Bowl are this year in order. Number 1, the Buffalo Bills. Number 2, Tampa Bay Buccaneers. They said until we see evidence of Tom Brady's decline, you can't believe it. 3, the Rams, the defending Super Bowl champions. 4, the Chiefs, with the rest of the NFL contenders in an arms race. The Chiefs choose to trade away Tyreek Hill and stick with the great arm that is Patrick Mahomes. The Chargers. Few teams were as aggressive this offseason as the Chargers, who seem determined to capitalize on the talent that they have in Justin Herbert at quarterback. And then you get to the could be their year. Not the teams that are true contenders, but could be their year. At number 6 comes the Green Bay Packers. They said, sure, when the Packers have Aaron Rodgers at quarterback, they're a contender, but they have had problems against the best teams deep into the postseason, and that was with Davante Adams. Losing him, replacing him with Sammy Watkins and a pair of rookies, Christian Watson and Romeo Doubs, they don't know if they're true contenders anymore. Could be, maybe. Got to wait and see how they produce. It is Green Bay, Denver with Russell Wilson, Cincinnati with, obviously, Joe Burrow, San Francisco, and then the Cleveland Browns and the Baltimore Ravens. After that, it comes to the just getting the eyes on the playoffs, and that's where you find the Dallas Cowboys and then Philadelphia Eagles and Cardinals and such. But the Packers are not in the, they're true contender locks. The Packers are in the group of could be, maybe, not sure. Got to wait and see how the wide receivers pan out. So there you go. We'll talk more about this coming up tomorrow on the program, but Pro Football Focus just putting that out a little while ago. I just thought it was rather interesting following that up with our conversation with Mike Clemens. So that'll do it for today. Hey, thanks to the staff and management out here at Ironwood Golf Course. Mike Lehman is absolutely the best. I love that guy to death, and it's kind of like my home course, but it's I play out here because of Mike, and it's a beautiful course. So if you ever get a chance, it's in Sussex, Wisconsin. 3 courses of 9, and it gives you every piece of challenge, whether it's the rolling hills of an Irish link style course or just precision play, whatever it happens to be, it can give it to you. Great place out here. So until we talk again tomorrow, time for us to go. Have a great one.